Just because the school bell witnessed the entire process of my transmigration here, and also knows the mission the system gave me, which is to win her over at all costs. So she looked at me with an arrogant expression. From now on, you are my dog. As your master, I order you to give up your university admission spot to my younger brother. Really, her younger brother? Why did the system say he was the unattainable moonlight of her heart? I directly interrupted her. I refuse. I turned to leave. The system's warning echoed in my mind. Host, I brought you to this world for you to win over Liu Ruyan. You must slowly win her affection and eventually gain her love. I frowned. Is her love such a big deal? I have to give it my all, not for money, not for power, but for the love of a woman who could change at any moment? The system tried to coax me. But look, the female lead is really beautiful. Is that so? In the young woman's eyes, there was a hint of contempt, as if she had already won. I'm not the first transmigrator, am I? Liu Ruyan raised an eyebrow. You're quite clever. Then where are the previous transmigrators? Liu Ruyan said nothing, but gave a meaningful smile. They're all dead, aren't they? After all, only by completing the mission can one return to their original world. Since no one has won Liu Ruyan's love, this mission is still incomplete, and yet the previous transmigrators no longer exist. The corners of the woman's lips curled up slightly as she slowly opened her mouth. One fell madly in love with me from the start and eventually jumped off a building due to unrequited love. Another served me loyally with his abilities, but after being drained of all his value, he died a miserable death from illness. Someone else did all kinds of dirty work for me and has been silenced. After she finished, she looked at me teasingly. Let's make a bet. Let's see how long you can last before you're on your knees begging me to grant you a little affection, she said, a crazed excitement glinting in her eyes. With your strength one day, I retorted. What's wrong? Can't you live past tomorrow? Why the rush? A blaring alarm immediately sounded from the system in my head. If you don't turn back now and seriously work on winning Liu Ruyan's affection, I'll have no choice but to use forceful measures on you. I raised my head and stared at that small point of light. Suddenly, a bone-deep pain washed over me. It was an electric shock. Host, this is only the lowest level of electric shock, if you remain stubborn and unrepentant. Before it could finish its sentence, it saw me suddenly reach out and grab Liu Ruyan by the throat. My speed was so fast she only saw an afterimage. I grabbed her by the throat and pulled her close, watching her face turn purple from lack of oxygen, and said nonchalantly, "Then let's die together." As screams erupted from around the sports field, the system in my head was also stunned. It stared dumbfounded at my actions, then let out a piercing alarm. Warning, the target is dead. The world is about to restart. In an instant, I was transported to an empty space. I wasn't afraid at all. On the contrary, I grabbed the system's small point of light and, without a word, threw a punch. A blood-curdling scream echoed in my head. I chuckled smugly. Another heart-wrenching electric shock coursed through my body, even more painful than the last. Without hesitation, I landed 5 consecutive punches on the point of light. Meanwhile, it showed no mercy, electrocuting me 4 times. Each time, the pain was so intense my face contorted, but no matter how painful it was, I clenched my fist tightly, not saying a word, just punching into the point of light. You'd better electrocute me to death right now, because if I have even a single breath left, it'll punch you to death. After saying that, I landed 3 more punches. Let's see which one of us dies first. After being knocked out 3 times in a 4-hour standoff, the damn system finally conceded defeat. I was wrong. I shouldn't have brought you here. It'll send you back right now. You dare? I picked up the system, which had clearly come dim and battered, and questioned it coldly. Send me back, and then grab a few more innocent people to serve as blood bags for Liu Ruyan, for her to insult and enjoy their begging and their deaths? I asked coldly. Do you know how many cuts death by 1,000 cuts requires? The system answered unconsciously. 3,357 cuts. Correct. Not a single one less. I took the fruit knife from my pocket and waved it, pretending I was about to stab the system, which made it tremble with fear. I won't send you back anymore. I won't. I really won't. My great ancestor, what just happened must not be revealed to Liu Ruyan in any way. Big bro, rest assured, our systems can only connect privately with the host. Aside from the initial handover phase, no one else in this world can see or hear the system. Good now. Give me all the information on Liu Ruyan and that younger brother of hers. Remember, I want everything. After a dizzy spell, I was back in the original scene. It was still the same sports field, still the same love letter, and Liu Ruyan with a cold expression in front of me. An excited smile spread across my face as I prepared to make my move. Liu Ruyan suddenly spoke up. I need some time to think. I narrowed my eyes slightly, the killing intent in them replaced by suspicion. Meanwhile, Liu Ruyan, standing before me, had her hands hidden in her jacket pockets, trembling uncontrollably. Her palms were covered in a cold sweat. When her neck was snapped, that suffocatingly painful sensation still lingered distinctly around her. Liu Ruyan's heart was pounding violently. She could almost hear it thumping in her chest, but she had to force herself to remain calm. If this lunatic in front of her detected any weakness, she would surely die. Sensing my scrutinizing gaze becoming increasingly dangerous, Liu Ruyan nervously swallowed and pointed to the love letter in my hand. Is that for me? I tilted my head slightly and gave a small laugh. That's right. Pausing for a moment, she added, Then you should think it over carefully. After Liu Ruyan finished speaking, I tossed the love letter to her, then turned and walked away. Ding! Daily mission complete. Please continue to work hard, host. From behind, Liu Ruyan watched my departing figure, frantically touching her own intact neck, panting as if she had just escaped death. She cursed inwardly. What a psycho who doesn't play by the rules. Who the hell starts by killing someone right off the bat? Is he insane? I followed the original owner's memories to the classroom at the far end of the 3rd floor of the lecture building. Just as I was about to push the door open, a male student came out, talking and laughing as he pushed the door. The two of us made eye contact instantly. The male student stared blankly for a few seconds, then a mocking smile spread across his lips. Hey, you're back from entertaining guests? As soon as he said that, a burst of derisive laughter erupted from behind him. I paused in my step, turned my head, and looked coldly at the student. What did you just call me? Xiao Jibo was stunned by my question and answered reflexively, Hey! Before he could finish his word, a sharp pain suddenly shot through his scalp. I grabbed his hair and mercilessly slammed his head against the iron door. In an instant, he felt an unbearable pain across his entire face and couldn't help but let out a blood-curdling scream. I grabbed his head and pulled it back, forcing him to look up at me, and asked again, What did you call me? Xiao Jibo felt a chill run down his spine from my gaze, but he quickly recovered. He had just been grabbed by a good-for-nothing who used to let people bully him and had his head slammed into a door in front of everyone. This immense humiliation made him burn with rage. He gritted his teeth, ready to curse. Chen Fan, your mother. I didn't hear the answer I wanted, and my patience completely ran out. I grabbed his head and slammed it repeatedly against the door. Bang, bang, each impact produced a jarring sound. The intense pain on Xiao Jibo's face grew more severe. He struggled desperately, but my hand gripping his hair was like a vice. As the pain intensified, the anger in Xiao Jibo's heart gradually gave way to fear. He felt that I truly wanted to kill him. The continuous loud noises jolted the other students out of their shock. Some of the more timid ones screamed in fear. Xiao Jibo's friends finally came to their senses and rushed forward to intervene. That's enough, Chen Fan. You're crazy. Let go now. Hey you, what are you doing? Let go. I stopped slamming him, raised my head, and shot a cold glance at the ones who were trying to stop me. With just that one look, it was as if they were hit by a freezing spell, instantly freezing in place. That terrifying killing intent was not something a group of high school students, who had lived sheltered lives and never faced real hardship, could withstand. Their eyes widened, their faces filled with terror. The words of admonishment that were on the tips of their tongues couldn't be uttered. When Xiao Jibo saw that no one dared to step forward and stop me, he grew even more terrified and begged tearfully, Sorry, Chen Fan. It was my fault. I was just running my mouth. I'm sorry. Please let me go. I'm begging you. I looked at his trembling, pleading figure, and the corners of my mouth lifted slightly. But not only did my hands not stop, they actually became more forceful. Suddenly, a hand with well-defined knuckles suddenly grabbed my wrist. I looked with some displeasure towards the owner of the hand. It was Liu Ruyan, who had composed herself and returned to the classroom. Class is about to start. The teacher is coming soon. Can you let go? Liu Ruyan deliberately ignored the male student, with a bloody face next to my hand, her voice carrying an almost imperceptible tension. I stared at Liu Ruyan for a long time, then let out a soft chuckle and tossed Xiao Jibo aside like a piece of trash. You're quite kind, aren't you? The boy's teasing voice rang in Liu Ruyan's ear. Upon hearing it, the hairs on Liu Ruyan's neck stood on end, but she could only force herself to remain calm. Seeing that I made no other moves, she quickly walked past, the boy lying on the ground to get to her seat. The surrounding students who had been watching the commotion also looked away one by one, afraid of meeting my gaze. I walked over to the original owner's seat, looked at the pile of trash on the desk, and asked my deskmate with a faint smile, Is this stuff yours? The deskmate in question was a slightly chubby boy. He had already been scared witless by my recent rampage. Hearing my voice, he flinched like a startled bird. Sorry, I didn't mean it. I'll clean it up right away. Sob. I watched him clean my seat with trembling hands and feet and scoffed. This deskmate was one of the people who frequently bullied the original owner. He treated the original owner's seat like a trash can, throwing all sorts of garbage here. He even often called the original owner trash, mocking him by saying that trash should be with trash. I watched him take the trash from the seat, throw it all into the trash can beside my feet, then casually reminded him, I think you put it in the wrong place. Shouldn't this stuff be thrown in your desk? Du Zitang's hand, which was cleaning up the trash, froze abruptly. He looked at me with an incredulous expression, but after meeting my cold gaze, he instantly understood that I wasn't joking. Hey Chen Fan, don't go too far. The boy in the back row suddenly spoke up. He was a good friend of Du Zitang. Seeing that I wasn't letting it go, and coupled with the sense of superiority from bullying the original owner before, he disregarded others' advice, and directly retorted. My gaze, which had been fixed on my deskmate, instantly shifted to this boy. I'm going too far? How so? Did I force you to throw this pile of trash on my desk? The boy in the back row was stunned, at a loss for words. They knew, of course, that what they were doing was wrong, but the old Chen Fan would just quietly clean up the trash and throw it away, never fighting back and never saying another word. The original owner's forbearance had completely fueled their arrogance, making them see turning this place into a trash can as a matter of course. The boy's face flushed red, and he stammered an explanation. Well, you didn't refuse before. If you had refused, we definitely would have stopped. It's clearly because you didn't make it clear. Who can you blame for that? It has nothing to do with us anyway. Realizing he was losing the argument, in a fit of anger, he finally said what was on his mind. He didn't feel he was at fault at all. After all, Chen Fan didn't refuse in the first place. Even if someone was at fault, it was Chen Fan's fault. The more he thought about it, the more he felt he was in the right. He was about to open his mouth to say more. Smack! A crisp slapping sound suddenly rang out in the dead silent classroom. The boy had no time to react before I slapped him to the ground. I flexed my hand, a gaze extremely cold. Everyone present was once again stunned by my sudden action. That slap was loud and clear. Just hearing it sounded painful. The boy got up from the ground in disbelief, clutching his face. The right side of his face swelling at a visible rate. The slap mark was clearly visible. The intense pain from his cheek made him unable to hold it in any longer, and tears streamed down like a broken dam. Sob, it hurt so much. The class monitor, sitting on the other side, finally couldn't stand it anymore. He couldn't help but stand up and quickly walked over to the boy who had been hit, checking the injury on his face while frowning, and scolded me with a look of dissatisfaction. Chen Fan, how could you hit someone? His desk mate also hurried over to comfort him. The two of them were about to help the injured student to the nurse's office when I suddenly spoke up again. He didn't refuse before I hit him either. If he had refused, I definitely would have stopped. How can you blame me? I took the words he had just said and threw them right back at him, my malicious tone unconcealed. Pfft. In the previously quiet classroom, a few stifled laughs suddenly broke out. Although they felt hitting someone was wrong, when they heard me use the boy's own logic to mock him back, many people felt an inexplicable sense of satisfaction. The class monitor was also left speechless by my words and could only glare at me. Guyan was in the wrong, but no matter how angry you are, you shouldn't hit people. You just wait. I'm going to tell Teacher Meng about this. The class monitor delivered his threat and then helped the beaten Guyan away. I watched their retreating backs and scoffed, completely unfazed by his threat. The farce was over. I once again looked towards my deskmate. Just a moment ago, he had placed high hopes in his buddy, but ended up seeing Guyan get beaten so miserably. Now he was already trembling with fear. Seeing him pause in his cleaning, I chuckled softly, my tone carrying a hint of mockery. Why did you stop? Do you want to go with him? No, I don't. Don't hit me. I'll clean it right now. Sob. Instantly, my deskmate was so scared he almost dropped the pile of trash in his hands onto the floor. He shook his head like a rattle drum. At the same time, with a humiliated expression, he stuffed all the trash from the can back into his own desk. Sob, I'm done cleaning. Are you satisfied? I casually grabbed the jacket he had draped over his chair and wiped my own seat with it, then threw it back to him like trash before sitting down. Hearing his suppressed sobs, I just found it annoying. What are you so aggrieved about? When you were throwing trash before, why didn't you seem so reluctant? Why is it that when the trash can becomes you yourself, you can't stand it? My deskmate was so scared he quickly wiped his tears. After witnessing the fates of Xiao Jibo and Guyan one after another, he was completely terrified. It turned out that when Chen Fan stopped enduring and started fighting back, he was this terrifying. Now he deeply regretted casually bullying Chen Fan before. He kept replaying his past actions in his mind, afraid that I would target him as well. Just as my deskmate stopped crying, the class bell rang. The math teacher was a woman in her 40s. She entered the classroom and saw that a few people were missing, including the class monitor. She asked the academic vice monitor, where did all these people go? The academic vice monitor stammered, Xiao Jibo and Guyan were injured. A few classmates went with them to the nurse's office. The math teacher assumed they had been injured during the previous gym class and didn't think much of it. She just felt that the atmosphere in the classroom was a bit strange and frowned slightly. After the two recent upheavals, the students couldn't focus on the lecture at all. Many of them were secretly glancing at me, sitting in the back row. Some were curious, some were afraid, and a few didn't care. Everyone was mentally reviewing whether they had bullied or offended Chen Fan in the past. Just then, the class monitor suddenly returned to the classroom and knocked on the door. Teacher Meng wants Chen Fan to go to her office. The math teacher's hand, which was turning a page, paused, nodded. Okay. Chen Fan, you may go. I stood up and walked out of the classroom. As I walked past the class monitor, he deliberately made a "you're dead" meat face at me. The corner of my mouth lifted slightly. I suddenly raised my right hand, my fist aimed straight for his face. Just a second before he shut his eyes in fear and screamed, my fist stopped abruptly. Then I slowly raised my middle finger. Seeing my raised middle finger, the class monitor's scream got stuck in his throat. Only then did he realize I was messing with him. His face immediately turned pale. Pfft. Ha ha. Quite a few students witnessed this scene and couldn't help but laugh out loud. When I reached the door of the head teacher's office, I could still hear Guyan's crying, as well as Xiao Jibo's snitching. I calmly pushed open the door, and my eyes met Xiao Jibo's. Xiao Jibo, who was rambling on and tattling, suddenly fell silent the moment he saw me. The wound under the gauze on his head seemed to start throbbing again. Teacher Meng was comforting Guyan, and hearing the commotion, she curiously turned around to look. She saw me standing at the door, silent and without a word. She looked at me in astonishment, her heart filled with disbelief. Is this still the Chen Fan she knew? This was the first time during her tenure as head teacher that she had seen Chen Fan's full face. Although his figure was thin, his delicate facial features were clearly visible. Right now, Chen Fan was just standing there quietly, his gaze so calm it was a little strange. Compared to the old Chen Fan who always avoided crowds, who was always hunched over, shy and insecure, he was truly like a different person. Actually, when Teacher Meng first heard Xiao Jibo and Gu Yan, covered in injuries, come to tattle, saying Chen Fan had beaten them, she was so shocked she couldn't believe her ears. In her impression, Chen Fan was quiet and reserved, with an introverted personality. Let alone hitting someone, he would just endure it silently, even when bullied by others. She would have even rather believed that Xiao Jibo and Gu Yan had fallen and gotten hurt like that themselves, and were deliberately framing Chen Fan. It wasn't until Xiao Jibo and Gu Yan confirmed it multiple times, and the students with them also testified one by one, that she reluctantly accepted this fact. Gu Yan's insistent sobs beside her pulled her back to reality. She frowned, trying to ignore the change in me, and questioned me sternly. Chen Fan. Xiao Jibo and Gu Yan said, that you hit them, is that right? I admitted it bluntly. I hit them. Teacher Meng, see? He admitted it. We weren't lying. He was the one who hit us. Sob. My face hurts so much. Teacher Meng, it was Chen Fan who hit me. Gu Yan, who had been sobbing with his head on the desk, shot up excitedly when he heard me admit it, immediately sitting up in agitation, pointing at me and accusing me loudly. Teacher Meng, you didn't believe us, but he's admitted it himself. He was the one who did it. He grabbed my hair and slammed my head against the wall. He really wanted to kill me. Xiao Jibo beside him also echoed Gu Yan's words, clutching his wounds, looking at me with an angry expression. His eyes were filled with hatred. Every time he recalled that scene, Xiao Jibo felt he had suffered the ultimate humiliation. To think that he was treated like a dog by a piece of trash like me in front of the whole class, having his hair grabbed so degradingly and repeatedly slammed against the door. That excruciating pain and humiliation was something Xiao Jibo would never forget for the rest of his life. Right now, Xiao Jibo truly wished he could make me die instantly. The students around who were close to the two of them also chimed in to testify for them. As for me, facing their accusations, not only did I not feel the slightest guilt or unease, but I even pulled a chair from a nearby teacher's desk and sat down. Then I watched them as if I were watching a troop of monkeys, especially when Gu Yan, in his agitation, kept pointing his finger at me. I threatened him with a faint smile. If you point at me again, I'll hit you again. That's enough, Chen Fan, get up. Do you have any respect for me as a teacher? You think you're justified in hitting someone? I'm right here, and you dare to threaten a classmate right in front of me. What are you trying to do? Are you trying to cause a rebellion? Teacher Meng was already getting a splitting headache from the surrounding students, and now I had the audacity to say such arrogant words in front of her. Her anger flared up instantly. The students, who had been noisy and chaotic, were scared into silence by Teacher Meng's sudden outburst. However, as the one directly facing Teacher Meng's anger, I looked as if nothing had happened. As if the person Teacher Meng had just yelled at wasn't me, and it had nothing to do with me at all. Not only did I not panic like a normal person, standing up to take the blame and apologize, but the corner of my mouth even lifted slightly, revealing an almost mocking smile. This sudden expression and the tense surroundings created a stark contrast in the atmosphere. I calmly asked Teacher Meng in return, "Are you standing up for them?" "Just because I hit them? Of course I'm standing up for them. I told you to get up. Are you deaf? What kind of attitude is this?" As for the people standing behind Teacher Meng, they were all looking at me with schadenfreude, their eyes filled with ridicule. You have to know that Teacher Meng is the famous Abbess Mieju of this grade. Almost all students who defied her did not end well. If their parents weren't called in, they'd get a public criticism announced to the whole school. In more serious cases, they'd be suspended or expelled. Seeing my reckless actions, they were overjoyed, as if they had already foreseen my fate. After hearing Teacher Meng's affirmative answer, the smile on my face grew wider. I couldn't even help but laugh out loud, the provocation at its peak. Then Teacher Meng, why is it that when I was being slandered by Xiao Jibo from the beginning of 10th grade all the way to 11th grade, you didn't stand up for me? Why is it that every day when I was called a gigolo by Xiao Jibo and his gang, you didn't stand up for me? Why is it that when I was isolated by Gu Yan and Xiao Jibo and treated like a trash can every day, with all sorts of trash thrown at my desk, you didn't stand up for me? Why is it that when I was ganged up on after school and locked in the boys' bathroom for a whole night, you didn't stand up for me? Now that I've only just started to fight back, you want to stand up for the bullies. Teacher Han Meng, don't you feel you're being very hypocritical? My tone was unusually calm, like a pool of stagnant water, as if what I was saying had nothing to do with me. However, Teacher Meng could feel the deep sarcasm in this unwavering voice. The reprimands she was about to say got stuck in her throat, her overwhelming anger replaced by embarrassment. I looked at this teacher who had taught for half her life and continued to question her. Was it that Teacher Meng never noticed? Or was it because those bullies were too perfect at hiding it? Or, I never reported it to you. Facing my questioning, Teacher Meng felt a lump in her throat, unable to say a word. She wanted to explain, but didn't know where to start. Recalling the usual situation in class, How could she not have noticed anything? It's just that I was too quiet and unpopular back then. She actually knew that an existence like me would surely be bullied by other students. But she thought, as long as it wasn't too excessive, it was just minor friction between classmates. But she really didn't expect that. The targeting of me had escalated to such a serious degree. Teacher Meng turned around in disbelief to look at the students she was sheltering behind her, her eyes filled with suspicion. Hiding behind Teacher Meng to watch, the show, Xiao Jibo and Gu Yan felt something was wrong when they heard me speak so openly about being bullied. Especially when they saw Teacher Meng turn to look at them with that expression, they hurriedly explained. Teacher Meng, don't listen to his nonsense. I never spread rumors about him. He's slandering me. That's right, Teacher Meng. I've never done that. Don't listen to him. Gu Yan also anxiously added his explanation, desperately hoping Teacher Meng would believe them. But how could I let them off the hook? Is that so? Then do you dare to tell Teacher Meng the reason I hit you? Do you dare? This time, Xiao Jibo hated me to the bone, wishing he could flay me alive. The moment Teacher Meng heard my words, she knew that what Xiao Jibo had told her earlier was definitely a lie. She immediately turned to look at Xiao Jibo, her gaze as sharp as a hawk's, as if it could see through his true thoughts. Speak, what really happened? Why did Chen Fan hit you? If you dare to lie, I will immediately go ask other students to find out what happened. Teacher Meng's tone was ice cold, leaving no room for negotiation. Being stared at like that by Teacher Meng, Xiao Jibo immediately felt a shiver run through his body, and he lowered his head, mumbling and stuttering. I was just joking with him a little, really. I didn't say anything too out of line, but his voice got quieter and quieter, until it was almost inaudible. A little joke could make a normally quiet and reserved person resort to violence? Do you think I'd believe that? Fine. If you won't speak clearly, Wang Tao, you tell me. Seeing Xiao Jibo's guilty expression, Teacher Meng's face grew even darker. Wang Tao was startled when his name was suddenly called. He was on Xiao Jibo's side and was just as scared right now. But facing Teacher Meng's pressure, he couldn't take it, and answered haltingly. Xiao Jibo, when he saw Chen Fan, said he had just come back from entertaining clients. When he got to the last few words, Wang Tao almost mumbled them incoherently. Bam! Teacher Meng slammed her hand on the desk, creating a loud noise. Except for me, everyone else was so scared they didn't dare make a peep. The entire office fell dead silent. At this moment, Teacher Meng's face was pale with anger, veins popping on her forehead, showing the extreme anger and disappointment in her heart. She never would have dreamed that students of this age would say such unbearable things. Xiao Jibo, Gu Yan, call your parents to come here tomorrow. I want to talk to them about your upbringing. Teacher? No, it's not what you think. Gu Yan and Xiao Jibo tried to explain, but they were only halfway through their words when Teacher Meng's cold glare silenced them. They never would have dreamed that. They had originally intended for me to get in trouble, but in the end, they were the ones in trouble. That's enough. Was I not clear enough? All of you, get out. Chen Fan, stay. Xiao Jibo, Gu Yan, and the others could only slump their shoulders one by one and leave dejectedly. After they left, only Teacher Meng and I remained in the office. Teacher Meng sat back down in her chair, looking at me. The anger in her heart gradually subsided. A moment ago, in her anger, she didn't think much. But now that it was just her and me, Teacher Meng suddenly felt a wave of awkwardness and didn't know what to do. After a moment of silence, Teacher Meng coughed a little unnaturally, trying to break the awkward atmosphere. About you being bullied, I will investigate it thoroughly. If it's true, then I will definitely make sure the bullies receive the punishment they deserve. However, I just looked at Teacher Meng silently, my gaze seeming to pierce through her innermost thoughts. This made Teacher Meng feel a bit flustered. My silence made her feel a little uneasy, wondering if she had said something wrong. So she spoke again. Student Chen Fan, I hope you can trust me. I will properly handle the bullying behavior of Xiao Jibo and Gu Yan towards you. I will make sure they receive appropriate punishment. After saying this, Teacher Meng let out a soft sigh, her eyes filled with guilt. Of course, I was also irresponsible in this. To not have realized for so long that you were always being bullied by classmates. I am very sorry, and I hope you can forgive your teacher. However, I, who had been silent, suddenly laughed when I heard Teacher Meng's apology. My previously calm eyes were now staring intently at Teacher Meng, as if wanting to see right through her. I softly voiced my suspicion. Could it be that you really didn't notice anything at all? You really didn't know anything? Is that really the case? Under my questioning, Teacher Meng awkwardly avoided my gaze. She wasn't sure if I knew something, and her expression immediately became a little unnatural, but she still calmly stood up and retorted loudly, "What are you talking about? If I had known earlier, how could I not have intervened? Besides, what's with your attitude? You were the one being bullied. Why didn't you come and tell me sooner? Did you have to wait until now?" Teacher Meng had intended to say something more forceful to prove her innocence, but the words felt a bit powerless as they came to her lips. After all, deep down inside her, there was indeed a bit of guilt. I looked at Teacher Meng, who was angry out of embarrassment and felt bored, so I stood up, ready to go back. "Then I'll have to trouble you, Teacher Meng." The math teacher saw me come back, didn't say anything, just told me to go back to my seat and continue listening to the lecture. I obediently returned to my seat, snatched my deskmate's book to read, paying no mind to the scrutinizing gazes from the surrounding students. As for the deskmate whose book I snatched, he didn't dare show any dissatisfaction. He had hoped that I would be punished by Abbess Miajue, or at least that she would let him change seats. But what he got instead was Guyan and a dejected Xiao Jibo returning to say that their parents were being called in for bullying a classmate, and I got off scot-free. Not only that, it's said that Abbess Miajue also wants to strictly investigate the matter of my bullying. They would probably all be in trouble. When the other students heard that the head teacher wanted to investigate my bullying, they all trembled in fear. They were all trying to remember if they had ever bullied me before. The last class ended quickly. I picked up the tattered school bag, frowned, and with a look of utter disgust, threw it into the trash can behind me. The school bag that had been with the original owner for 7 years was retired just like that. After throwing the bag away, I left the classroom to go home. The other students went to get dinner, since they had evening classes later. I was supposed to have evening classes too, but my mother, Yang Mei, thought that I used evening classes as an excuse to be lazy. Besides, if I went to evening classes, then there would be no one to take care of her son. So after finishing my afternoon classes, I had to rush to the middle school to pick up her son. Then I had to cook dinner and do the laundry. In the eyes of the students who didn't know the situation, me being able to go home after school without needing to attend evening classes was truly enviable. But only I knew that for the other students, that dry and boring study time was one of the few times I could get a little rest. My home is some distance from the school. Normally after school I had to run to Fangwei's school to pick him up and carry his bag for him, but the current me couldn't care less if Fangwei lived or died. Since entering the infinite world, I've never gotten to experience the life of an ordinary person. So after leaving school, I was in a rare good mood and went for a stroll around the nearby snack street, feeling the worldly atmosphere amidst the bustling crowd. For a moment, it felt as if I were just an ordinary person. The noise and impatience in my head found a moment of peace. By the time I had strolled to my heart's content, the sun was already setting in the west. If it were the old me, I would have finished cooking dinner by now and started doing laundry for the whole family. I leisurely walked back home and took a new pair of slippers from the shoe cabinet. Suddenly, a black shadow from the right, along with a piercing whistling sound, came at me. I didn't even stop the motion of changing my shoes, just tilted my head slightly and easily dodged it. Bam! Along with the sound of a heavy object hitting the ground, came Fangwei's cursing in a fit of rage. Chen Fan, you piece of trash, you dare to dodge! Look at the time! How dare you not come to pick me up? Are you looking to die? Get out! After changing my shoes, I glanced out of the corner of my eye and saw that what Fangwei had just thrown at me was a glass ashtray. Clearly, Fangwei didn't see me as a person at all. If I hadn't dodged just now, my head would surely have been smashed open and bleeding. I ignored the fuming Fangwei and instead took another look at the family photo on the shoe cabinet. In the photo, my father and mother both had gentle, benevolent smiles on their faces. They were both holding a young Fangwei, looking perfectly happy. It's just that I wasn't in it. Fangwei's eyes widened, looking in disbelief at the person before him. This person who was usually timid and fearful, who always obeyed him, actually dared to ignore him. Not only that, I even dared to wear the new slippers his mother bought. Fangwei immediately flew into a rage, his face flushing red, his hands clenched into fists. You dare to wear the new slippers my mom bought? Take them off. Are you even worthy? Are you trying to rebel today? I'll kill you, believe it or not, you damn stray dog. He was in the middle of puberty, and his voice was unpleasantly shrill, as if it could pierce eardrums. I frowned in annoyance, my cold gaze landing on Fangwei, who was standing on the sofa, screaming madly. Fangwei, due to Yang Mei's pampering and indulgence, had become very fat. He was 1.6 meters tall but weighed 85 kilos. His face would flush red with anger. Cat got your tongue? Asking you a question. Before I could even say a word, Fangwei's curses grew louder. As he spoke, he aggressively strode towards me. His already ugly face was now twisted and ferocious with anger. A vicious glint flashed in his eyes, tinged with a hint of excitement. Fangwei is a typical bully who only preys on his own family. At home, he's Yang Mei's precious son, a revered crown prince. But at school, Fangwei was called damn fatty by other students. His situation at school was no better than the original owner's. This huge discrepancy caused Fangwei's ridiculous self-esteem to take a heavy blow. Therefore, at home, he took pleasure in tormenting me, trying to find some balance at the original owner's expense. I watched Fangwei struggle to roll off the sofa, raising his fist as he approached, and rarely, I frowned. So disgusting. The fat on Fangwei's body jiggled, with his every movement like a moving slab of pork belly. Disgusting, greasy. So before Fangwei could get close, I directly lifted my leg and kicked towards him. The kick was clean and decisive and extremely fast. Fangwei didn't even see my action clearly. He just felt his vision blur, and then a sudden, intense pain shot through his stomach. Then his whole body was like a kite, with a broken string flying outwards. A loud bang rang out. Both the sofa and the coffee table behind were sent flying by Fangwei's body. Fangwei only stopped when he slammed into the floor-to-ceiling window, passing out. Seeing the house was finally quiet, I was in the mood to observe the house. The house was over 100 square meters. Besides the living room, there were only 2 bedrooms, 1 kitchen, and 1 bathroom. 2 bedrooms, one was Yang Mei's, the other was Fang Wei's. As for the original owner who had lived in this house for over 10 years, he never had a room of his own. Not only that, he didn't even have a decent bed. I searched everywhere, and finally, in the innermost part of the bathroom, I found where the original owner slept. I stood at the door, frowning in disgust, and kicked the so-called bed in front of me. A dilapidated old bed, looked rickety. The iron bed frame looked like it could collapse at any moment. This very thing, discarded from a second-hand market, a piece of trash that even a scrapyard wouldn't take, had accompanied the original owner for 10 years. On the bed were a few school uniforms washed until they were faded. Some parts were even worn and torn, along with a grimy gray blanket, whose original color was almost unrecognizable. Not far from the head of the bed was an air conditioner's outdoor unit, the top surface of which the original owner used as a desk. A few crumpled textbooks were piled on it, and around it, a lot of miscellaneous items were also carelessly tossed here, making the already cramped space even more crowded and chaotic. The air was filled with a suffocating smell. The entire room was enveloped in this unpleasant odor. The system in your head suddenly sobbed. Boo-hoo. So tragic. The host of this world is truly too pitiful. I don't know when it took out an electronic handkerchief to wipe its tears. I had no interest in the original owner's tragic life. Leaving the bathroom, I went straight to Yang Mei's room. I expertly took all of Yang Mei's cash and bank cards. The original owner's years as a free servant in this house for over a decade weren't for nothing. After I took the money, I conveniently smashed all the furniture in Yang Mei's and Fang Wei's rooms. Just as I was about to leave the room, I heard a shrill female voice from the living room. Ah, Xiaobao, my Xiaobao, what's wrong with you? Don't scare mommy. Help, someone. Quick, boo-hoo. My Xiaobao. Wake up. Yang Mei came home from work, and just as she opened the door, she was stunned by the scene before her. The house looked like it had been burglarized, with things strewn everywhere. The coffee table and sofa were also overturned. The entire scene was utter chaos. Yang Mei's heart tightened, and she gripped her phone, preparing to call the police. However, when her gaze shifted, she saw a sight that made her eyes burn with rage. Fang Wei was vomiting blood, lying there like a dead dog, completely lifeless. Yang Mei's eyes widened. She let out a scream, hastily dropping the things in her hands, and rushed over to hug Fang Wei, sobbing uncontrollably. As if remembering something, Yang Mei turned her head with a ferocious expression and roared, Chen Fan, where did you run off to, you damn stray dog? What on earth did you do to my son? I leisurely walked into the living room with a calm and composed expression, leaning against the wall. Yang Mei glared angrily. Her ferocious gaze looked like it wanted to eat me alive. But I paid her no mind at all, raising a hand to rub my ears, which were ringing slightly from her screams. In less than a day, 3 or 4 people have screamed in my face. I'm worried my hearing will be affected. Chen Fan, you damn stray dog, are you deaf? I'm talking to you? Was it you? You dare to hit my son? At this moment, Yang Mei's mind was clouded by anger. She had completely lost her reason. She didn't notice anything unusual about me at all. In her eyes, there was only her son lying on the ground, his condition unknown. However, I paid no heed to Yang Mei's insults, not even bothering to glance at her. I carried the things I had rummaged from Yang Mei's and Fang Wei's rooms, preparing to leave. Yang Mei screamed for a long time, and seeing I remained indifferent, she finally realized that today's me was different. And a me like this made Yang Mei even more furious. She carefully put Fang Wei down, stood up angrily, preparing to come and teach me a lesson. You damn stray dog, I've been too easy on you. You dare to ignore me? I'll beat you to death. Yang Mei's face was ferocious, her eyes filled with rage. As she spoke, she raised her hand to slap my face. I showed a look of impatience. Since stepping into this house, my ears haven't had a moment of peace. Without looking at the hand about to slap my face, I acted directly, simply, and brutally, kicking Yang Mei into the nearby wall, shattering the television on it. Yang Mei let out a wretched scream, clutching her stomach and groaning. Her face was as pale as paper. Her eyes held a flash of terror. I looked down from above at Yang Mei, collapsed on the ground, my eyes without a single ripple of emotion, as if looking at a corpse. That gaze was as cold as winter snow, sending shivers down one's spine. Yang Mei felt my cold gaze and couldn't help but feel a chill rise in her heart. She had intended to curse loudly, but after seeing my frighteningly calm expression, those curses got stuck in her throat, not daring to utter them easily anymore. I slowly walked towards Yang Mei, each step carrying a sense of oppression. Yang Mei watched me approach step by step, the fear in her heart intensifying. She subconsciously wanted to retreat, but behind her was only a hard wall. She awkwardly turned her head away, trying to avoid my suffocating gaze. I walked in front of Yang Mei and slowly squatted down, my expression unreadable, strangely calm. Yang Mei nervously swallowed, the intense pain from her stomach constantly always reminding her that I was different now. Her eyes darted away, not daring to look directly at me. Her voice trembled. Chen Fan, you can't treat me like this. I'm your mother. It was me who raised you to be this big. Now you dare to hit me and even hit your younger brother. Think about how your father Chen died. If it weren't for you, and now you treat me like this. Are you worthy of your deceased father Chen? Yang Mei had intended to use emotions to sway me. Every time she mentioned Father Chen, I would become easier to control. Because she often hurt me this way, Yang Mei's originally weak tone grew increasingly firm when she mentioned my father Chen, becoming more and more righteous. That's right. If it weren't for you that year, how could her husband have died? It's all because of you, you jinx. It's all your fault. Everything is your fault. You should have died. If it weren't for you, how would my husband have died? Your bad luck. The more Yang Mei spoke, the more she felt I deserved to die. Her anger once again overpowering her fear. She cursed at me with a ferocious expression, as if I were her greatest enemy in life. Yang Mei's anger made her ignore my increasingly cold gaze. When she became agitated, Yang Mei even subconsciously raised her hand to slap me. I emotionlessly grabbed Yang Mei's hand, and only a crack was heard. The intense pain from her wrist and my ice-cold gaze made both her scream and curses die on her lips. Her face grew even paler, and cold sweat dripped down incessantly. Only now did she soberly realize that my earlier gaze, like looking at a dead person, was real. I really wanted to kill her. Yang Mei began to feel fear. She didn't want to die. Her Xiaobao was still young, and she hadn't yet had the chance to enjoy a life of luxury and wealth. Seeing Yang Mei with her head bowed in complete silence, I used my other hand to pinch Yang Mei's chin, forcefully lifting her head, forcing her to look directly at me. Yang Mei's chin ached from the pinch, but she couldn't break free. She could only be forced to face my terrifyingly calm eyes. You hate me this much? My voice was so calm it was almost cold, as if I were talking about something unimportant. Is it because I caused your husband's death, or is it because I was never your son to begin with? This sentence was like a sledgehammer blow, striking Yang Mei's ears and making them ring. Her pupils suddenly constricted, and her breath hitched. Her previously avoidant gaze was now frozen on my face. Her lips trembled slightly, but she couldn't utter a single sound. He knows. How could he possibly know? Yang Mei's mind was in turmoil. The secrets she had buried deep, the truths she thought would never be exposed. You are my son. What nonsense are you talking about? I gave birth to you. I gave birth to you. Yang Mei's voice was shrill and hoarse. She frantically refuted, as if squeezing the words from deep within her throat. Yang Mei looked at me, her eyes wide, the whites of her eyes filled with bloodshot veins. Her facial muscles twitched from the extreme emotional fluctuation, looking ferocious and terrifying. Her voice grew louder and louder, as if doing so could prove her words were true. However, I remained expressionless. I grabbed Yang Mei's broken hand and brought it before her face. See your thumb? Your thumb and your husband's thumb are a joint shorter than a normal person's, short and stubby, truly ugly. This is a dominant gene that is certain to be passed down to the next generation. Your precious son has the exact same finger, but I don't. The meaning behind that. Do I need to explain it further for you? Yang Mei's body trembled violently, looking at her own rough fingers. She wanted to retract them to hide them. Yang Mei's breathing became more and more rapid, as if she could suffocate at any moment. Her lips trembled. Unconsciously, she continued to refute. You're talking nonsense. I gave birth to you. You are. I am your mother. Don't you dare abandon me. Don't even dream of it. I just silently watched the frantic Yang Mei, my gaze without a ripple of emotion. You always knew I wasn't your biological son. That's why you treated me like an enemy, because your son is using my identity to enjoy a life you could never give him, even if you worked your whole life. To ensure your son will support you in the future, you must have already acknowledged him. And to control me, the two of you must still be in contact. So that would be the son of your employer's family, young Master Jiang Yu of the Jiang Corporation, right? I stared at Yang Mei's paper-white face, watching the almost tangible fear in her eyes. It seems I wasn't wrong. I disgustedly threw away the clammy hand, wet with Yang Mei's cold sweat, and stood up. At this moment, Yang Mei seemed to have all her strength drained, staggering as if about to fall. How on earth did you find out? She thought she had hidden it very well. She thought I would never find out about this in my entire life. The moment she thought of me being acknowledged, a wave of uncontrollable panic and anger immediately rose in Yang Mei's heart. No, she wouldn't allow it. She had spent so much effort that year to swap me and her son, to win for her son, the status, wealth, and everything he currently has. She would absolutely not allow me to destroy all of this. Her son is the second young master of the Jiang family. How is a bastard like you worthy? At this moment, Yang Mei's hatred for me reached its peak. She wished I would die right now. Only then could she ensure her son's future would not be affected. I looked down from above at Yang Mei's increasingly intense killing intent, and the corner of my mouth curled into a mocking smile. A light flashed in my eyes and then disappeared. What's wrong? Want to kill me? No, I don't. I was wrong. I was wrong. The newly born killing intent vanished instantly. Only now did Yang Mei come to her senses and see her situation clearly. She hastily begged for forgiveness. In the current situation, she should be thinking about how she and her son are going to survive. Seeing that Yang Mei was now obedient, I warned her. I'm not interested in this game of real and fake young masters. But if you dare to pull any tricks behind my back, my long, slender fingers gently lifted Yang Mei's chin. The gesture seemed gentle, but it carried an irresistible force. At this moment, my eyes were surging with a dangerous light that made one's heart pound. I narrowed my eyes slightly. The corners of my lips curved into a half smile. My voice was gentle, but it sent shivers down one's spine. I will make you and your son lose everything instantly. Oh, not just that, I will also make you regret ever coming into this world. The air in the room seemed to freeze. Time in this moment became incredibly long. My words echoed endlessly in Yang Mei's mind. She knew I wasn't joking with her. After warning Yang Mei, I stood up, not sparing her another glance, and walked out with my things, leaving only Yang Mei sitting limply on the floor, unable to recover for a long time, and the unconscious Feng Wei. A long while later, Yang Mei finally reacted. With her remaining hand, she tremblingly took out her phone to make a call. Beep, beep. After a moment, the call connected. Didn't I tell you not to call me casually? An annoyed male voice came from the other end of the line. Hearing her son's voice, Yang Mei finally couldn't hold back her tears. She was so scared. Xiao Yu, what should I do? Chen Fan. He knows about his true identity. What should I do? What should we do? Crash. On the other end of the line, Zhang Yu was startled and accidentally knocked over his teacup. He didn't have time to wipe the tea stains on his clothes. He hurriedly went into the bathroom and locked the door, anxiously asking, how did he find out? Did you slip up somewhere? How could you be so stupid? Hearing Zhang Yu's scolding, Yang Mei explained while sobbing. It's not. Xiao Yu. It wasn't me. It was him. He figured it out himself. He said something about how my fingers and your father's are short and thick. Said it was some kind of dominant gene, that it would definitely be inherited. You and Xiaobao. Then he guessed that he was switched. What should I do? Xiao Yu, what are we going to do? The more Zhang Yu listened, the colder his heart became. He looked at his own thumb. It was indeed a section shorter than a normal person's, and no one in the Jiang family had fingers like that. Zhang Yu clenched his thumb tightly, the malice in his eyes becoming tangible. Trash, all of them are trash. It's all because of his trash parents. It's one thing that they have no money or talent, but even their genes are of such poor quality. The only thing his mother did right was swapping him with Chen Fan that year. What now? How should I know what to do? It's all your fault. It's all because of you. I told you from the beginning, while he was still young, to kill him to prevent future trouble. What did you do? You insisted on keeping him alive to serve that useless son of yours. Now look, he knows. You're asking me what to do? When Yang Mei came to work for the Jiang family as a maid, Jiang Yu already knew the whole truth. At only 7 or 8 years old, he had already suggested that Yang Mei create a few accidents to kill me. But at that time, because Yang Mei had to work, she had no way to take care of Feng Wei. So to spare her precious son from suffering, she rejected Zhang Yu's suggestion. As for me, when I left Yang Mei's house, many shops on the street were already closed. I raised my head to look at the sky and suddenly took a deep breath. In the air, there was none of the persistent, musty smell and cheap perfume from Yang Mei's house. Instead, there was the fresh scent of trees and earth, pure and natural. This feeling was like a long, paralyzed life, had a crack torn open, finally able to breathe real air. Suddenly, a light breeze blew by, and I seemed to hear a faint thank you in the wind. The sound was intermittent, as if carried by the wind, yet it also seemed to emerge from the depths of my heart. Perhaps the original owner never thought that the freedom he had always longed for could be obtained so simply. I shook Yang Mei's wallet and walked in the opposite direction from her house. By the time you found a suitable hotel, it was almost dawn. I immediately booked the presidential suite for a month. Ever since I exposed my identity in front of Yang Mei, the system's storyline program reminded it. After its host unlocked the hidden storyline, it had been in a crashed state. For a rookie system that had just started working, this was still too shocking. The probability was even lower than winning 10 billion from a lottery ticket, a hidden storyline. Oh my, its host could actually unlock it so easily. Who said its crazy host wasn't good? He was so good. It absolutely loved him to death, especially when it opened the dedicated system communication channel. As expected, its serial number and the achievement it had just unlocked were scrolling across the entire screen as an announcement. It was even deliberately displayed in a large, bold, yellow font. This was a treatment that not even a veteran system with hundreds of years of service would often get. Host, you unlocked the hidden storyline. Oh my god. I knew I didn't pick the wrong host. My just relaxed brain was assaulted by the system's piercing scream, making my temples throb. Shut up. After being scolded, the system hurriedly covered its small line-drawn mouth. It was just still too excited, bouncing around in the electronic space. The system's sudden scream gave me a headache. What's a hidden storyline? The system's electronic voice was slightly distorted with excitement. It held its face, extremely thrilled. A hidden storyline is like an Easter egg in a game. Not only are the trigger conditions very special, but they are also extremely rare. If you can unlock it, it's not just an honor, but more importantly, there will be a super generous reward. Coincidentally, the reward for unlocking the hidden storyline for the first time is still in your mailbox. I'll take it out for you to see. With that said, the system opened its control panel, clicked on the mailbox, and presented the rewards in front of me. 1,000 accumulated points. Wish Granting Card, X1. 120-minute Time Reversal Card, X10. Universal Key Card, X1. Mission Completion Card, X5. Besides these, you, the host, have also unlocked the system store ahead of schedule. You should know that to unlock the system store, the main mission progress must be past the halfway point. For rookies, like us who just started, this is a huge gain. You can get anything you want in the store. The system looked at these rewards so excited that tears flowed from the corners of its mouth. If the host can clear the game, wouldn't the clearance reward be even more generous? The system didn't dare to think further. It was afraid it would drool even more. It continued to entice me. Host, look. For example, this wish-granting card. As long as you silently think of what you need, it can conjure it for you immediately. Not to mention other items like the time reversal card or the universal key card. I'll open the system store for you to see. In here, we have everything from a toothpick to a nuclear weapon. We have it all. You want me to follow the hidden storyline this badly? I guess if I really clear the game, the reward you get will surely be much more than mine, right? The system's secret thoughts were guessed correctly by me, and it didn't want to talk anymore. It didn't expect that I could figure this out. Indeed, if I successfully cleared the hidden storyline, it wouldn't just be able to upgrade and gain more functions, but it could also level up to become a high-level system. If I failed, the one who would die would be the host, me. At most, it would be ridiculed by other systems. In short, for it, there were all benefits and no drawbacks. After a while, the system still didn't answer. I sneered and said sarcastically, "Next time before you scheme against someone, don't be so obviously stupid. Don't play dead. Show me the hidden storyline." The system said nothing. It just silently presented the hidden storyline to me. Then it shrank back, hiding in a corner to secretly observe me. It still hadn't given up. I couldn't be bothered with the system and skimmed through the storyline myself. Since I hadn't decided whether to start the hidden storyline or not, I could only see the beginning of the unlocked plot. Basically, that year, Mrs. Jiang was pregnant. Her due date was approaching when she suddenly received news of her grandmother's death, so she rushed back to her maternal home that very night. As a result, she was kidnapped on the way. At that time, to escape the police pursuit, the kidnappers took only remote country roads. Although Mrs. Jiang was fortunately rescued, due to the shock, Mrs. Jiang's water broke. Because it happened so suddenly, there was no time to transfer Mrs. Jiang to a large hospital. The accompanying doctor made an immediate decision, directing the convoy to the nearest town, health station to prepare for the birth. The entire labor process lasted for 6 hours. When the baby was finally born, everyone breathed a sigh of relief. However, this joy was short-lived. Mrs. Jiang suddenly began to hemorrhage severely. Fresh blood instantly stained the entire delivery bed. At that moment, everyone's attention was focused on Mrs. Jiang. The newborn baby boy was hastily cleaned and taken to the nursery. At that time, Yang Mei was also giving birth at that health station. Because she was in good health, after giving birth, she still had the energy to ask around about which rich lady had come here to give birth. When she learned it was the lady of the Jiang family from the Jiang group, who had to give birth here due to an accident, and had also given birth to a son, Yang Mei's heart was stirred. Looking at Mrs. Jiang's hospital room, surrounded by people, and looking at the nursery with only one nurse on duty, the look in Yang Mei's eyes kept changing. Finally, her gaze became firm. She suddenly understood the hint that fate had given her. Yang Mei's cousin was a nurse at this health station. Taking advantage of everyone's attention being on Mrs. Jiang, she snuck into her cousin's break room, found a nurse's uniform, and changed into it. She put on a mask, then went to the nursery saying it was time to take the baby from Yang Mei's bed, number 7. The nurse in the nursery didn't suspect anything. Because of Mrs. Jiang's situation, the hospital had already mobilized nurses from other departments to help, so she let Yang Mei in. Yang Mei looked at her own son, and next to him was Mrs. Jiang's son. Her heart pounded in her throat. Her hands trembled, but her actions were swift. She swapped all the belongings of the two newborns. She gave her son one last look, then picked up Mrs. Jiang's son and left. Yang Mei's hands were shaking. She looked down at the baby in her arms. It wasn't her child, but the true young master of the Jiang family. The baby was sleeping soundly, completely unaware that he had been swapped. From this point on, fate was altered. For a moment, Yang Mei almost regretted it. If she were discovered, you would definitely go to jail. But the next second, she gritted her teeth. No, she couldn't turn back. She remembered the diamond-studded watch on Mrs. Jiang's wrist, and remembered Mrs. Jiang being surrounded by people. Her son was now the Jiang family's son. In the future, he would live in the best house, attend the best school, and live the most luxurious life. And she, Yang Mei, as the biological mother of the Jiang family's young master, might one day also enjoy the benefits. Thinking of this, her heart turned to stone again. She tightened her grip on the baby in her arms, as if afraid someone would snatch him away. If you must blame someone, blame yourself for being born into wealth. She changed back into her own clothes, hid in a corner of the hospital corridor, listening to the distant footsteps, the sound of carts, and the doctor's calls. Finally, the ambulance from the large hospital arrived. Medical staff hurriedly wheeled Mrs. Jiang away, along with the son in her arms. Both were taken to a better hospital. No one discovered it. What a mediocre cliché plot, I remarked. To me, this is a plot. But to Chen Fan, this was his short, painful life. Originally, he was the one who should have been, showered with endless love and affection. But because of Yang Mei, everything was ruined. Don't you feel it's tragic for him? The system was now full of indignation, feeling unjust for Chen Fan. It had just watched the first half of the storyline with me, and the more it watched, the more it couldn't suppress the flame of anger in its heart. This is really too much. I don't understand why a system would have such strong feelings of empathy. He stated his opinion. If it were me, when I realized Yang Mei didn't love me, I would suspect I wasn't her child. I'd start investigating. Besides, Yang Mei never even hid it. Every time she came back from the Zhang family's house, she would compare Chen Fan with Zhang Yu. Such an obvious loophole, yet he didn't suspect a thing. A person who has given up on himself, why sympathize with him? Sympathize because he suffered, or sympathize because he was good at enduring? The system, which was silently condemning Chen Fan, was stunned. That's right. Why did Yang Mei treat Chen Fan like that, yet Chen Fan never once suspected anything? I looked at the main mission of the hidden storyline, return to the Zhang family and make Yang Mei's family and Zhang Yu receive their due punishment. I couldn't help but laugh. Only in trashy novels like yours would there be a plot like this. In real life, if such a person really existed, even if he wasn't swapped, and truly grew up in a wealthy family, he would only end up being abandoned by his parents and bullied by his peers. Extremely boring. I turned over and closed my eyes to sleep. I had even less interest in the hidden storyline. I slept straight until noon. After a hearty meal at the hotel, I went to the mall for a shopping spree. I bought everything I liked without looking at the prices. It wasn't my money anyway. I even hired a delivery person to deliver everything I bought back to the hotel. I shopped for a whole day, and by the time I returned to the hotel, I had maxed out one of Yang Mei's cards. Ever since Yang Mei reconnected with Zhang Yu to keep Yang Mei quiet, Zhang Yu had transferred money to Yang Mei many times. Adding it all up, Yang Mei's savings were close to 1 million, but none of this had anything to do with me. Over the years, Yang Mei always told the original owner that she had no money, that the family was so poor they had nothing to eat. So, from childhood to adulthood, the original owner had never received more than 50 yuan at a time. He even wore Fangwai's hand-me-downs. Meanwhile, Yang Mei and her son wore designer clothes, especially since Yang Mei also had a habit of stealing clothes and jewelry from Mrs. Zhang. Because of Zhang Yu's cover-ups, she had never been caught. I transferred all the money from Yang Mei's other credit cards to my newly made card. Then I threw all the empty credit cards into the trash. Consider it compensation for the original owner. They'll spend all this money on the original owner's body. The hospital's pale white lights were dazzling. Yang Mei sat by the hospital bed, her phone screen constantly flashing. One after another, bank deduction notifications popped up. Every notification sound was like a knife stabbing her eardrums, until the last message appeared, account balance, 0. Yang Mei's pupils suddenly contracted, her lips trembled. Chen Fan, you damn piece of trash, how dare you? Her voice hissed through gritted teeth. Her entire face was distorted with extreme anger. That was the money she had saved, scrimping and saving for so long. It was the money she prepared for Fangwai's down payment on a house. Now it was all gone. She ground her teeth, thinking she could rush in front of me immediately. But Zhang Yu's cold warning and my final threat were like a poisonous snake coiled around her heart. A bucket of cold water was instantly thrown over her anger. Only a suffocating sense of helplessness remained. She couldn't do anything. She couldn't do anything at all. She stared at her phone screen, her voice filled with extreme hatred. You just wait. I will definitely not let you go. 6 days later, system space. The system heaved a weary sigh. This was its 108th sigh of the day. Since that day out, I had been cooped up in the hotel for 5 days straight. For the first 2 days, aside from eating and sleeping, I just sat in front of my laptop, frantically learning and researching this world. Then for the next 3 days, I became obsessed with playing the stock market. The system watched me operate 5 screens simultaneously. On the left screen was a real-time K-line chart. The middle screen had 5 trading interfaces open. The cash flow statements of different accounts were being switched back and forth. On the right was a dense collection of financial news and analysis reports. The system went from initial shock to being used to it now. Watching me skillfully use an anonymous account to short a new energy stock while simultaneously spreading rumors, detrimental to that company on social media. Then, using another account, I bought shares of its competitor at a low price. Host, you're manipulating the market. This has nothing to do with our mission. The system couldn't help but speak up and remind me. The key point was in the latter half. I let out a cold laugh. What the hell does that have to do with me? As the stock price began to move along my predicted trajectory, I lazily leaned back in the leather chair and took a sip from a cold can of Coke. The room's doorbell rang. I got up to open the door, completely uninterested in the final profit figures. After satisfying my itch, I was no longer interested in these things. The system looked at the screen displaying a total profit margin of 427%, and suddenly felt that whether I went out or not, I seemed to be very good at causing trouble. While eating, I looked at the clock on the wall and began to self-reflect. I seem to have been a bit degenerate these past few days. I originally intended to check the stock market situation, but ended up getting an itch to trade and coop myself up for another 3 days. Internet addiction is truly harmful. However, my one bout of internet addiction caused a huge storm in the financial world, attracting the surprise and attention of countless powers. Amidst the storm, all sorts of speculation and rumors emerged. Everyone was guessing who this mysterious trader could possibly be. I resolved to change my ways and decided to go back to school tomorrow. I looked at today's mission, send a message to Liu Ruyan. Without thinking, I directly opened Liu Ruyan's chat box. After getting her phone number, I sent Liu Ruyan a single period, just because. Yes, and the system, which witnessed all of this, very good, very casual, simple and crude, very fitting for your image of having no moral bottom line. Liu Ruyan replied with a question mark. Then she continuously sent messages. Who are you? How did you get my number? I frowned, feeling annoyed, so I blocked Liu Ruyan. Just a casual thing to do. Meanwhile, Liu Ruyan on the other end was texting and saw a red exclamation mark next to her sent message. Her face was full of confusion. Then she got so angry she laughed. This was her personal phone number. Besides relatives and a few friends, she had never told anyone else. But today, she suddenly received a strange message, and opening it revealed just a period. Liu Ruyan's heart tightened, thinking it was some of the people who usually disliked her and had gotten her number somewhere. To clarify their intentions, Liu Ruyan proactively replied, wanting to fish for some information. But as a result, she was blocked after sending only a few messages. Liu Ruyan was speechless. She was originally going to delete the message, but my face suddenly appeared in her mind. As if possessed, she canceled the deletion. Ever since she found out I was also a pursuer, Liu Ruyan had been anxious and afraid for days, afraid that I would snap her neck if I was displeased. As it turned out, I hadn't come to school for 6 days, making her worry for nothing all this time. That's good too. Liu Ruyan prayed silently, hoping I would never come to school again. Unfortunately, you get what you hate. On Wednesday morning, as Liu Ruyan was walking towards the academic building while thinking about last night's difficult math problem, as she turned the corner of the building, her right ear suddenly caught a fleeting voice. Liu Ruyan. Good morning. The blood in Liu Ruyan's body seemed to freeze and the hairs on her body stood on end. She saw me, whom she hadn't seen for 6 days, standing next to her, smiling at her. Hi, class is about to start. Let's hurry. Liu Ruyan heard her own dry voice, turned her head, and stiffly lifted her feet to walk on. I looked at Liu Ruyan, who almost walked with her arm and leg on the same side, a dark glint flashing in my eyes. I leisurely followed behind her. Ting! Today's mission is complete. We hope the host will continue to work hard. Liu Ruyan heard a sudden electronic sound, and her heart suddenly breathed a sigh of relief. She thought that because of her previous change in attitude, I was continuing to test her. It turned out to be a mission. A mission is good. If it's a mission, then it's fine. Then she was still very willing to cooperate. Liu Ruyan and I entered the classroom one after the other. When everyone saw me walking behind Liu Ruyan, the noisy classroom suddenly fell silent for a few seconds. Seeing this, I looked up at everyone in the class. The classmates all averted their gazes one by one. The students sitting in front, behind, to the left, and to the right, including my desk mate, all pulled their desks and chairs away. Thus, around my seat, a vacuum was formed. As if I didn't see it, I sat down by myself. I unceremoniously took my desk mate's textbooks. As for my textbooks, they had been torn to shreds by the bullies in the first few days of school. My desk mate was about to argue, but was frightened by my sidelong glance. He couldn't utter a single word, so he could only hold back his tears under the pitiful gazes of those around him and bury his head on the desk to cry silently. Quite a few people lowered their heads with their friends, quietly discussing my change. Liu Ruyan's desk mate, Zhu Ying, also leaned close to Liu Ruyan's ear and exclaimed in a low voice, Hey, Liu Ruyan, look, oh my god, Chen Fan has changed so much. I didn't expect him to suddenly become so handsome, especially the aura around him. Wow, it's amazing. By the way, why did you two come in together just now? Tell me the truth. Do you know something? Liu Ruyan shrugged, pushed Zhu Ying's head away, her tone nonchalant. We just ran into each other on the way. What could I possibly know? Zhu Ying shook her head and sighed. I didn't expect this. Looks like Jibo Day brought this upon himself. The class heartthrob is about to change. Jibo Da. A flicker of interest appeared in Liu Ruyan's eyes. This was one of the most severe bullies. It was just a pity that Jibo Da had taken a half-month leave of absence. Otherwise, he would have definitely been among those dealt with last time. Next Thursday, Jibo Da will be back. There will be a good show to watch then. How can my own misfortune be as satisfying as watching someone else's? She started to look forward to next week a little. This feeling of schadenfreude made Liu Ruyan feel an indescribable pleasure. Being scared by me just now, the psychological trauma also became insignificant. Indeed, suffering and smiles don't disappear, they just transfer from one person to another. What time is it? Why are you still so noisy? Did you hear the bell? The first period will be a spelling test. For every word you can't write, you'll copy it 50 times as punishment. The homeroom teacher had just entered the room and saw the class was still noisy. She frowned and scolded them. Immediately, wails and groans echoed throughout the classroom. The students, accepting their fate, took out their English books and started their morning reading. Teacher Meng happened to see me, who hadn't shown up for 6 days, slumped over the desk, sleeping. Anger immediately flared up inside her. She slammed the desk and told me to get up. Chen Fan, you still know the way to school, huh? Didn't you hear the bell? Get out here for me. Teacher Meng originally felt a bit guilty and uneasy towards me, but then I didn't even greet her and directly skipped school without showing up. Teacher Meng felt that her authority as the homeroom teacher had been challenged. So, Teacher Meng called my mother, Yang Mei, to ask about the situation. As a result, she heard Yang Mei stammering that she couldn't control me anymore and didn't know where I had gone. Before Teacher Meng could ask further, Yang Mei had already hung up. She was so angry she almost smashed her phone. As expected, like mother, like son. Teacher Meng had been suppressing her anger, waiting for me to return to school. In the end, she waited for 6 days. I casually stretched, ignoring the gloating gazes of those around me, and slowly stood up to go outside. As soon as I stepped outside, I was fiercely scolded by Teacher Meng. Chen Fan, had enough fun outside. Have you finally decided to come back to school? Do you know who you are right now? You are still a student, yet you skipped school for 6 days without reason. Do you even have any respect for the school? Or for me, your homeroom teacher? I called your home and your mother said she didn't know where you went. What's wrong with you, playing this game of running away from home? How old are you? To be acting so recklessly. Abbess Miejue. Teacher Meng pointed at me, scolding enthusiastically, her spit flying everywhere. Teacher Meng's shrill voice echoed throughout the floor. Quite a few students from the neighboring classes peeked their heads out to see what was happening. I faced her angry criticism without a care, and even kindly comforted her. Teacher Meng, calm down. Not coming to school these past few days, I had my own difficulties. She let out a cold laugh and said sarcastically, difficulties? All right, then tell me, what kind of difficulties did you have that made you skip school for 6 days without reason? She wanted to see what kind of reason I could make up to deceive her. I lowered my head slightly. After going home that day, I went to the hospital for a checkup. The doctor said I have moderate depression and bipolar disorder, because after what happened last time, it was trending towards bipolar disorder, so the doctor had me hospitalized. I've only been able to come to school recently after getting a little better. After school this afternoon, the doctor told me I have to go back to the hospital. Teacher Meng, who was originally angry, after hearing me say I had mental health issues, her first reaction was disbelief. So if you were hospitalized, why didn't you call me to ask for leave? Besides, your mother said she didn't know where you went. Don't use depression to try and fool me. Leaning against the wall, my voice deepened. My mother has never cared about me since I was young, so whether I'm sick or not, she naturally wouldn't know. Moreover, the money for the hospital was all from my own savings that took a long time to save. As for why I didn't contact you, I've never had a phone since I was young. I also don't know your phone number. Naturally, there was no way for me to ask you for leave. Besides, I've been bullied for so long, it would be strange if I didn't have mental health issues. Teacher Meng was rendered speechless by my words. It's not about being afraid of 1,000 possibilities, but about the 1 in a million chance. If I really had a psychological illness and did something irrational, she couldn't bear the consequences. However, my last sentence clearly had a mocking tone towards her, making it impossible for her to save face. Teacher Meng coughed unnaturally, and her tone softened a few notches. I know you feel wronged. Xiaojibo and Guyan, I have already met with their parents to talk. I've also sent them home to reflect on their actions. But this time, you were really at fault too. I was also worried about your safety, afraid you might run into some danger outside, so it was inevitable that my tone was a bit heated. All right, this time it was my misunderstanding. Later, bring your medical records and the diagnostic certificate for me to see. I at least need to know that you were really hospitalized and not just fooling me. I nodded. I know Teacher Meng cares about me, but I didn't bring anything today. Can I bring it to you tomorrow? Teacher Meng also didn't believe I could fake an entire medical record. Mom, I won't pursue the matter of you skipping school this time, but don't let there be a next time. I smiled, nodded, and replied, yes, Mom. Teacher Meng. She waved her hand, dismissing me back to class. And everyone who had witnessed the entire process nearly worshipped me as a god. Who was Teacher Meng? She was someone who could scold a well-behaved student to tears on the spot, the Abbess Miejue whose name alone made truants tremble in fear. Yet he could make Teacher Meng let him off lightly. Did this even make sense? The crowd of onlookers immediately erupted. As for the students of Class 5, they looked at each other, their eyes filled with shock and suspicion. Is this really Chen Fan? From last time until now, it was as if I had become a different person. The person who was usually silent and quiet in their memory, who silently endured being bullied and never fought back, seemed to be a figment of their imagination. Someone whispered, could he have been possessed? Or maybe he was reborn. Another student lowered their voice and continued, maybe he suddenly awakened some hidden personality. The more everyone guessed, the more absurd it became. But one thing was certain, I had really changed. Seeing me return to my seat safe and sound, my desk mate wanted to cry but had no tears. It's over. His good days were truly over. It wasn't like he hadn't gone to Teacher Meng to ask to change seats, but he was criticized and lectured by Teacher Meng, who said he was discriminating against a classmate and had no sense of friendship, wanting to change seats over such a small matter. In the end, he couldn't change seats and even got scolded unfairly. I paid no mind to the overt or covert gazes sizing me up. In contrast, the system, which had witnessed the entire process, spoke up a bit embarrassedly. Host, could it be that you have some dirt on the homeroom teacher? Your performance just now wasn't like you at all. You actually didn't choose a direct confrontation, but instead took the initiative to be lenient with the homeroom teacher. This contrast made it hard for it not to suspect that the homeroom teacher had some dirt on me. I sneered internally. Confronting the homeroom teacher now? What's in it for me? Besides, if I really pissed her off and she sent me home to reflect, are you going to do my daily missions for me? The system was at a loss for words. Then it spoke resentfully. But before, when I told you to do the mission, weren't you indifferent? It opened the history log and whispered, "I threatened you with electric shocks and it was useless. You even threatened to drag me out and crush me to death. Why are you suddenly so proactive today?" Seeing my expression darken, the system's voice grew quieter and quieter until it finally went silent. I slammed the English book shut with a thud. My eyes were full of impatience. "What's it to me?" I suddenly got interested. "Is that not allowed?" Seeing this, the system didn't dare to speak again and retreated into its electronic space. But the more it thought, the angrier it got. Yet it didn't dare to act out. It could only cowardly curse me for being erratic in its heart. And hearing the entire conversation between me and the system, Liu Ruyan didn't dare to make any move. Her back was straight, covered in a cold sweat. She seriously considered whether she should also ask for leave. If she couldn't provoke him, couldn't she at least hide from him? Chu Ying beside her was completely oblivious to her best friend's abnormality. She sat right by the hallway window, truly a prime spot for eavesdropping. "Hey, Liu Ruyan, I heard everything. No wonder Teacher Meng let Chen Fan off so easily. It turns out Chen Fan was hospitalized these past few days. He said he has depression and bipolar disorder. Hey, you, do you think this is real? But thinking about it, it makes sense. I heard those scumbags Xiao Jibo have been bullying him since middle school. It would be strange if his mental state was normal. Before, Chen Fan could endure it, which also kept them from causing any trouble. Now that Chen Fan isn't enduring it anymore, it's all over. Not only did they get beaten up by him, but they also got sent home to reflect for 7 days. Serves them right." Liu Ruyan was pulled back to reality by Chu Ying's voice. She didn't feel any pity for me at all. She only felt that I was biding my time for something big. The me of today was not someone who would easily yield. My proactive show of weakness in front of Teacher Meng today definitely meant I needed to use Teacher Meng later. People like that usually have bigger schemes, as expected. From tomorrow onwards, she should still ask for leave. Although she couldn't hide for a lifetime, at least she could hide for a while. When the bell for the last class rang, Chu Ying looked surprised at her best friend Liu Ruyan, who was putting on her backpack. "Why are you bringing your backpack if we're going out to eat?" Liu Ruyan glanced at Chu Ying, her tone calm. "I've taken a leave of absence. I'm not coming tomorrow." "What? What are you taking leave for? Don't tell me you're sick too." "Wait, if you leave, what will I do? Besides, that abbess, Mia Jue, Teacher Meng, actually approved your leave?" Everyone knew that getting leave approved by homeroom teacher Meng was harder than ascending to heaven. Not only did you need a legitimate reason, but your parents also had to call and explain personally. The process was so cumbersome it was desperate. But everything has its exceptions. Liu Ruyan was that exception. As a student who was at the top of the grade in the teacher's eyes, she always had some special privileges. Liu Ruyan smirked slightly. "Because I'm the top of the grade. As for you, just live however you live. I'm not your mother." Just then, Uncle Zhang drove up. Chu Ying didn't give up and clung to the car window. "Last question. How many days did you ask for off?" Liu Ruyan fastened her seatbelt and glanced up at her. "Indefinite. It'll come back when I'm in a good mood." On Thursday, in the homeroom teacher's office, Teacher Meng frowned, her expression serious as she flipped through the medical records I gave her. After confirming there were no signs of forgery, her perpetually tense face relaxed. The diagnostic report showed that I indeed had moderate depression and bipolar disorder, but my condition was still within a controllable range, not requiring hospitalization for treatment, just periodic follow-up visits. Teacher Meng sighed softly. She put the medical record away and handed it back to me. Her tone was unusually gentle. "Chen Fan, I've seen it. Yesterday I was too impulsive. From now on, if you face any difficulties in class, you must tell me immediately. I will definitely get justice for you." A dark glint flashed in my lowered eyes. The evidence I had carefully forged was now working perfectly. After I left, Teacher Meng rubbed her throbbing temples. This year, she was competing for the position of grade-level director. If rumors spread at this time that a student in her class had caused some trouble, she feared she might not even be able to keep her current position as deputy director. Teacher Meng looked up at the student beside her who had just finished asking a question and was about to leave, and waved her hand. "Go to class 5 for me and call the class monitor and the psychological committee member here." The system, which had been silent all day, suddenly spoke up. "Host." I was lazily slumped over my desk. Hearing that, I didn't even lift my eyelids. "What is it?" The system glanced at the empty seat in front and to the left, reminding me, "Liu Ruyan has taken a leave of absence." I had no reaction. My voice betrayed no emotion. "You haven't done today's mission yet." I still had no reaction. "Completing the daily mission for 10 consecutive days will reward you with a mission completion card. Today is the 9th day. You can get it tomorrow. Host, don't let your efforts go to waste." Seeing the host, who just yesterday said he was interested in Liu Ruyan, give up today, the system was dying of anxiety. Electric shock punishments couldn't scare me, so the system could only resort to coaxing. I reluctantly got up. So annoying. Although I wasn't interested in the system's other rewards, I really liked the mission completion card. Moreover, the point shop limited purchases to 1 card per month. So, I, who had just lain down, stood up again and walked towards Teacher Meng's office, and very smoothly got a day's leave. On her first day of leave, Liu Ruyan treated herself to a sleep until she woke up naturally, went out for a morning jog, and walked her dog. Zhangcheng First High School, where Liu Ruyan studied, was the best public school in Zhangcheng City, a city under the jurisdiction of F City. This century-old prestigious school had a university acceptance rate that always topped the charts. Originally, with the Liu family's background, Liu Ruyan could have chosen the best, private, aristocratic school in F City. The heirs of major families were concentrated there. Not only was it equipped with top-tier teaching resources, but it was also a natural elite social circle where one could accumulate connections for inheriting the family business later on. But Liu Ruyan had been scared by all sorts of suitors since she was young. The suitors she had encountered in those years still gave Liu Ruyan goosebumps to this day. The hot transfer student in middle school confessed publicly on the basketball court, but the system's notification sound was so loud that she could hear it from outside the gymnasium. The gentle senior in summer cram school, who she coincidentally met every day, actually had to check the system's data to find out what kind of milk tea she liked. Liu Ruyan just had to think about it. If she went to that private high school, 2 out of every 5 people next to her would be suitors, and half the class would be people trying to win her over. The thought alone made her scalp tingle and sent a chill down her spine. Therefore, she carefully chose and finally selected Zhangcheng High School. At first, Liu Ruyan's choice was completely correct. She spent the first half of her 10th grade semester peacefully. Not a single suitor appeared around her. Just as Liu Ruyan thought she could spend her entire high school life in peace, I arrived. At that moment, Liu Ruyan heard me and the system in my head conversing, and her heart shattered. Liu Ruyan didn't understand. She had already hidden herself here, so why wouldn't these suitors let her go? Especially this suitor. It seemed that in his own world, he was a madman who killed without batting an eye. Liu Ruyan was even more devastated, but after her breakdown, Liu Ruyan tried to find joy in her suffering. Luckily, I was the only suitor who appeared, a silver lining in the cloud. There was no silver lining. The threat I alone posed to Liu Ruyan surpassed all the suitors Liu Ruyan had ever met, from childhood to now. What kind of good person would snap their target's neck right after arriving? If she hadn't reacted quickly enough, her neck could have been broken again. But just thinking of my ambiguous, probing gaze, Liu Ruyan felt it was coming. Liu Ruyan was walking her dog by the river, her mind wandering as she ran. When she was tired from running and sat panting on a bench, her throat was parched. It was only then she remembered she had forgotten to bring water when she went out. Liu Ruyan was regretting it when suddenly someone to her right offered her a bottle of water. Liu Ruyan was stunned. She thought it was some kind person and was about to look up and refuse. "Thank you, but I don't need it." The young man stood against the light, his fingertips gently tapping the bottle. The plastic made a crisp, clicking sound. I tilted my head slightly, looking at the girl frozen in place. I shook the water bottle. "Aren't you thirsty?" The voice was especially clear in the silence. Liu Ruyan stiffly took the bottle of mineral water and dryly said thank you. Under my gaze, she tilted her head back and drank. Ting, today's mission. Give water to Liu Ruyan. Completed. The sudden system notification sound caused Liu Ruyan, who was drinking water, to choke unexpectedly. She coughed violently. After Liu Ruyan finally managed to stop coughing, she turned her head to see me sitting next to her, teasing the dog that had been playing dead since my appearance. Liu Ruyan had a Samoyed dog named Zhang Fugi. Normally, it couldn't help but pounce on anyone it saw for affection, a true extrovert. But now, facing me, Zhang Fugi cowered fearfully under the bench. Unfortunately, its 20 kg of flesh wasn't for nothing. Even though it tried its best to shrink its presence, more than half of its body, with its fluffy white fur, was still exposed, making it hard to ignore. I playfully pinched the Samoyed's ear and said nonchalantly, "Introduce him." Liu Ruyan looked at Zhang Fugui, who was trembling in fear, and held a moment of silence for him in her heart. Asking why she didn't save him? Because she was also scared. Clearing her throat, she tried to make her voice sound normal. "His name is Zhang Fugui, a purebred Samoyed. He really likes you." Liu Ruyan lied with a straight face. "Likes me? Are you sure?" I looked at the Samoyed trembling so much under the bench that it created a blur. My tone was somewhat teasing. Liu Ruyan's lips twitched as she stiffly explained, "He's too shy. He usually doesn't let others pet him." I mercifully let go of Zhang Fugai's ear and stood up. "Is that so?" Seeing this, Liu Ruyan also stood up. She quickly pulled Zhang Fugui behind her. Seeing me, with no intention of leaving, Liu Ruyan could only persevere and ask, "Are you looking for me for something?" I looked at Liu Ruyan, the corners of my mouth lifted slightly, my tone somewhat wicked. "I heard you took sick leave. As your suitor, I naturally had to come see if you were really sick or just intentionally avoiding me." After saying that, I suddenly moved closer to Liu Ruyan. The distance between them was suddenly shortened. Liu Ruyan could even smell the nameless cold fragrance on me. Her pupils contracted violently. She instinctively stepped back, only for her calf to hit the bench behind her, making her almost fall. Liu Ruyan hurriedly placed her hand on the armrest of the long chair to steady herself. "It's too close." The distance between them was too close, recalling his face suddenly magnifying before her eyes. Liu Ruyan subconsciously thought, I wanted to break her neck again, but her heart couldn't help but pound wildly, but besides being scared. There was another indescribable emotion. It was just that she was immersed in fear. So Liu Ruyan didn't notice it at all. Liu Ruyan looked up at me, her eyes completely devoid of any concealment, just the wicked smile of a successful prank. She felt that my systems assessment was very accurate, moody and unpredictable, and loves to tease others. To survive. Liu Ruyan could only swallow the anger rising in her heart. Then she politely said to me, "Classmate Chen, I don't like others getting too close to me." I looked at Liu Ruyan who, despite being frightened, didn't show much emotional fluctuation. I was a little unsure whether Liu Ruyan had memories from before the world reset. I narrowed my eyes slightly and said nothing. I began to seriously consider whether I should kill Liu Ruyan one more time. I didn't believe a person who had died twice wouldn't reveal even the slightest flaw. Liu Ruyan keenly sensed the increasingly dangerous aura around me. Alarm bells rang in her heart. Damn it, where did she provoke this madman again, without having time to think about where she went wrong? Liu Ruyan immediately tried to remedy the situation. "I didn't mean to blame you. It's just that next time, maybe you can. Give me a heads up, so I can be prepared." Watching Liu Ruyan continuously trying to salvage the situation, I narrowed my eyes. The expression in the depths of my eyes was unclear. I suddenly felt that if I got the answer now, it wouldn't be very interesting. Seeing that I was still just looking at her without saying anything, Liu Ruyan felt that she was probably really going to die again, but before she could accept her fate, she heard me suddenly let out a scoff. "If I give you a heads up, it's not a prank anymore." Liu Ruyan was stunned. She watched me turn around leisurely and walk along the river path. She was a bit dazed, not understanding what I meant, but she still dragged the unwilling Jiangfu guy to follow. I strolled absent-mindedly along the tree-lined path. My fingertips brushed past the wildflowers growing in the green belt. I casually plucked a small white flower, listening to Liu Ruyan's serious explanation beside me. "I suddenly got a headache yesterday, so I took leave to go home. There's no conflict between us. Therefore, classmate Chen, I have no reason to avoid you." After explaining, Liu Ruyan glanced at me nervously. Veins popped on the arm holding the dog leash, dragging along Jiangfu Gui, who was throwing a tantrum and refusing to walk behind her. I hummed softly. It was unclear whether I believed her or not. I held the small flower up to the sunlight to admire it. The pure white petals had a translucent, glossy edge. There was still morning dew on the stamen. I leaned over and offered the flower to Liu Ruyan. "Want it?" This sudden action left Liu Ruyan stunned on the spot. Sunlight filtered through the nearby willow branches, casting tiny specks of light on her face. I noticed her eyes tremble unnaturally. "Weren't you sick?" I deliberately drew out my tone. "Just consider it a get-well gift." Liu Ruyan stared at the small white flower, gently trembling in the morning sun. She reached out her hand. Her fingertips were just about to touch the edge of the petal. "Tha." Before she could finish her word, my wrist suddenly flipped deftly, avoiding Liu Ruyan's fingertips, and in a flash, I had tucked that small white flower behind her ear. The feeling of her hair being gently brushed aside made Liu Ruyan's whole body stiffen. Her mind went blank. I took half a step back to admire my masterpiece. The morning breeze blew past. The small white flower trembled slightly by Liu Ruyan's ear. The usually cold and distant top student, at this moment exuded a surprising bit of innocence. I thought to myself, it really suits her. When I saw this little flower, I already felt it would suit Liu Ruyan. I happily turned and continued walking, waving goodbye to Liu Ruyan as I walked. The river breeze carried my last words to Liu Ruyan's ear. "See you tomorrow, Liu Ruyan." Liu Ruyan stood frozen on the spot for a long time without reacting. My action just now was too fast, so fast that she thought. Her neck was about to be broken again. The blush on her face after I left drained away at a speed visible to the naked eye. Liu Ruyan subconsciously reached up to touch her neck and accidentally touched the small flower by her ear. She plucked the small flower off, then looked up with a complex gaze at my retreating figure and cursed psycho in her heart. After this incident, Liu Ruyan was no longer in the mood for a run. She casually tossed the small flower into the bushes by the road and dragged the trembling Jiangfu Gui home. Once home, she handed Jiangfu Gui over to the maid and collapsed limply onto the sofa. "Can't fight him, can't escape." Thinking of my last words, Liu Ruyan could only resign herself to returning to school. At this time, on the campus of Yizhong High School, students on duty were busy sweeping the corridors. Arriving students gathered in groups of 3 and 5. Some diligent students were buried in a sea of practice questions. Some were mumbling words from English vocabulary books. Others were discussing last night's homework. The sounds of laughter, conversation, and turning pages filled the entire campus with youthful vitality. At this moment in class 10 to 5, Ju Ying had half a bun in her mouth. She mumbled to the person behind her, "Let me copy the English test paper." She took the test paper that was passed to her. Ju Ying mumbled as she copied, "Oh my god, Teacher Meng is too cruel. Assigning this much." The voice of the physics monitor was like a clap of thunder booming across the classroom. "Groups, collect the physics workbooks." Ju Ying suddenly looked up. "Physics workbooks?" She put down her pen and hurriedly rummaged through her school bag. "When was this assigned?" How come I don't know?" The classmate in front of her turned around and looked at her with sympathy. "The last period on Tuesday. You had already run off to the cafeteria by then." Ju Ying let out a wail. She pulled at her hair and looked around in distress. "Crap, why didn't anyone tell me? Has anyone done it? Someone, save me." Seeing that the group leader was about to collect from her desk, just as Ju Ying was in a complete panic, a workbook landed on her desk with a thud. Pages 78 to 80, don't copy it wrong. Along with it came Liu Ruyan's cold voice. Zhu Ying suddenly looked up and saw Liu Ruyan standing beside her, having just put her school bag down and was organizing her things as if she had met her savior. Zhu Ying finally managed to finish copying in the last second before the group leader lost patience and handed it to the group leader. Seeing the group leader leave, Zhu Ying breathed a sigh of relief. She didn't want to be called out for criticism by that strict physics teacher. Only then did Zhu Ying leisurely copy the English test paper. Seeing Liu Ruyan back after taking just one day off, she asked curiously, "Ruyan, you're back already after just taking a leave? Did your mood improve that quickly?" Liu Ruyan was flipping through her Chinese textbook, silently reading the lesson. She glanced at Zhu Ying and answered with a faint smile. "If you don't speak, no one will think you're mute." Just thinking about last night, when she had nightmares one after another, Liu Ruyan's heart was filled with bitterness. If it weren't for him, do you think I really wanted to come back? Liu Ruyan had accepted her fate. The worst that could happen was just death. After all, it's not like she had never died before. When this thought emerged, Liu Ruyan was surprised to find that she was unusually calm. If she couldn't escape me, then she would just let things be, as long as she cooperated with me to complete the daily tasks, and didn't actively provoke me. It was actually quite peaceful, Liu Ruyan thought, trying to find joy in her bitterness. Compared to the previous strategists, my methods could be said to be simple. There were no carefully arranged accidental encounters, no fake gentle traps. I was even too lazy for the most basic disguise, just brutally straightforward threats, which, conversely, saved her the effort of guessing. She didn't have to wake up every day, wary of being drugged through her food, didn't have to encounter all sorts of accidents outside, didn't have to get kidnapped for various reasons. A self-mocking look flashed in Liu Ruyan's eyes. She glanced at me, sleeping with my head on the desk. My blatant threats, on the contrary, made her feel a strange sense of security. Zhu Ying looked on, completely bewildered, at her best friend who suddenly seemed so world-weary. She had no idea what she had been through in just one short day. Liu Ruyan looked at Zhu Ying's clear, naive eyes and let out a sigh. She raised her hand and patted her friend's shoulder, as if she had seen through the vanities of the world. You wouldn't understand. The corner of Zhu Ying's mouth twitched. Psycho. In the blink of an eye, it was afternoon. For the third time, Liu Ruyan's gaze darted towards my seat in the bottom right corner. The evening sun filtered through the gaps in the curtains, casting a streak of golden light on my desk. The boy was sound asleep, his head resting on his arm. His soft hair trembled slightly with his steady breathing. The entire morning had passed, other than a trip to the restroom in between. I had spent the rest of the time sleeping. Liu Ruyan felt utterly helpless. She had thought if I finished the task early, she would be released early, but now, seeing that only the last period of the afternoon was left, and I still hadn't made a move, Liu Ruyan retracted her gaze. She suddenly felt that this time she was like a eunuch worrying on behalf of the emperor. Why isn't my system reminding me today? Liu Ruyan rubbed her forehead and stood up to go to the sports field with Zhu Ying. Their last class was PE. She suddenly felt she was overreacting. I wasn't even in a hurry to complete the task. What was she doing here, worrying for nothing? What if he didn't want to do the task today? Then her anxiety and fear all day would have been for nothing. By the time I leisurely arrived at the sports field, the class had already been in session for a while. The others were running laps as arranged by the PE teacher. Teacher Meng had already spoken with the other subject teachers, telling them to turn a blind eye to me. So when the PE teacher saw me walk into the field late, he didn't say anything. He just waved his hand casually, telling me to find a place to sit down by myself. Liu Ruyan's eyes subconsciously scanned the entire sports field, the stands, the shade of the trees, the equipment area. I was nowhere to be seen. Zhu Ying followed her gaze. Who are you looking for? Nothing. Liu Ruyan felt a little lucky. It seemed I was letting her off the hook today. Beside her, Zhu Ying held a badminton racket and asked her to play with her. Liu Ruyan followed Zhu Ying towards the badminton court, but the moment she turned, the corner of her eye caught a glimpse in the shadows at the very top of the stands. Someone seemed to be gently swinging their legs. Liu Ruyan was about to take a closer look, but that person suddenly jumped down from the stands and walked towards the sports equipment room, under the parasol tree on the east side of the sports field. This corner was jokingly called the dating sanctuary by students. It just so happened that a couple in the passionate throes of love had come here for a secret rendezvous. The boy was handsome. The girl had sweet features. From a distance, they looked like a picture. A love full of youthfulness. But I was in the sports equipment room, lying down and playing on my phone. If I hadn't heard their entire conversation, I might have also thought this was a beautiful campus romance. The boy casually wrapped his arm around the girl's waist and buried his head in the crook of her neck. Sister Kexon, when are you going to break up with him? The girl nestled in the boy's arms and looked at him shyly. Tomorrow when I go to his house, I'll tell him we're breaking up. Do you want to stay out tonight? Sister Kexon, what if he gets angry? He likes you so much. Besides, he is my brother after all. But Sister Kexon, I really like you. I don't want to give you up to him. Faced with her boyfriend's worry and confession, the girl gave him a tender kiss, then let out a cold laugh. Dismissively, what's there to be afraid of? With me here, he wouldn't dare touch you, sweetie. if his dad wasn't a school board member. What is Jibota? When I first got with him, wasn't it because his mom and my mom are best friends? Otherwise, would I have even looked at him, now that his mother is gone? See if I even bother with him. The boy, in a corner the girl couldn't see, revealed a triumphant smile. Sister Kexine, my dad is already preparing to bring my mom and me home. Soon, he'll also be the son of a school board member. Don't leave me. The boy adjusted his expression, his eyes filled with innocence and obedience. When the time comes, be a little gentler with my brother. After all, I'm the one who wronged him first. The girl gently comforted him. Don't worry, honey. The one I love most is you. Of course I won't leave you. Besides, you don't need to feel guilty towards him. They all say the one who isn't loved is the third party. I don't like Jibota at all. I'm so annoyed by him. If it weren't for his mother's sake, I wouldn't have been with him. If it weren't for their lookout. Suddenly saying someone was coming, the two of them almost went all the way. After the two adjusted their clothes and left, I emerged from behind the curtains. Hearing that boy mention Jibota, a figure appeared in my mind, locked in the bathroom, slapped, forced to drink dirty water, kneeling on the ground and forced to bark like a dog. Jibota's bullying of the original owner was even worse than Xiao Jibos. I took out my phone to search for information about Jibota. A moment later, the information that little couple just talked about all appeared on my phone. Jibota, son of school board member Ji Xianghua, because his mother was gravely ill. He took a long-term leave last week. I haven't seen him in class recently, but just yesterday, Jibota's mother passed away because her illness was too severe, and the girl from just now was Jibota's girlfriend, Wang Kexin, the daughter of Mrs. Ji's best friend, the best friend's daughter. The boy was even more interesting. He was Ji Xianghua's illegitimate son, raised outside the family, named Ji Hao. Ji Hao's mother was Ji Xianghua's first love. Originally, Ji Xianghua, wanting to climb the social ladder, abandoned his first love and married Jibota's mother. Later, the first love came to find Ji Xianghua, expressing that she truly loved him and didn't seek any status. She just wanted to be by his side. So the two former lovers got back together. When Mrs. G was 5 months pregnant, the first love also got pregnant. Mrs. G had unremarkable looks. Moreover, she had a strong personality. Although she initially married Ji Xianghua for love, she always looked down on Ji Xianghua for his humble origins. She also raised Jibota to be arrogant and domineering, thinking he was above everyone. Fortunately, his grades weren't bad, always in the top 5 of the grade. On the other hand, the first love was not only beautiful, but also had a gentle personality and was considerate, a true soulmate. She gave birth to a pair of fraternal twins, who were also very well educated. Both the son and daughter had good grades, maintaining a spot in the top 20 of the grade, especially since Mrs. Ji's health deteriorated after giving birth to Jibota. She couldn't have any more children. Ji Xianghua became more and more impatient with Mrs. Ji and Jibota. I narrowed my eyes and continued to scroll. No wonder Ji Hao said that. This time when Mrs. Ji was hospitalized for a serious illness, Ji Xianghua appeared worried and heartbroken on the surface, but he ran to his first love's place as soon as he left the hospital. He didn't even go home. He even promised his first love that as soon as Mrs. G died, after some time he would bring her and her children home to reunite their family. And this first love of Ji Xianghua was not as simple as she appeared. Mrs. G's illness was originally treatable. She could even communicate normally the day before yesterday. But the first love disguised herself and secretly went to see Mrs. G behind Ji Xianghua's back and directly told Mrs. G everything about her and him having children together. A competitive person like Mrs. Jai. How could she accept her husband secretly behind her back? Had been keeping a mistress since they just got married. She was so angry that she went straight to the emergency room. Although she was saved afterwards, she remained in a coma. Until last night, due to a nurse's negligence, her condition suddenly worsened, and she passed away without timely treatment. My fingertip paused on the screen. My gaze fell on the cause of death for Mrs. Jai. The diagnosis report clearly stated rapid multiple organ failure, cause unknown. The corners of my mouth slowly curved up. A meaningful smile flashed in the depths of my eyes. I scrolled down. The document showed that the first love graduated from the pharmacy department of a certain medical university. What an interesting coincidence. I recalled what Wang Kexin had just said. The gloating in my eyes became even more unconcealed. His mother had just passed away, and his father immediately brought his mistress and the pair of twins, who were only 5 months younger than him, home, and announced that after his mother's mourning period, they would hold a wedding. Then, wanting to cry to his girlfriend, he discovered that his girlfriend at some unknown point had gotten together with that illegitimate son and even wanted to break up with him. As I thought about Jibota's future outcome, I shook my head and sighed. This is truly a capital T for tragic. Jibota was already an idiot, and now he no longer had his mother's protection. The first love's family was not to be trifled with. They would play him like a dog. A malicious glint flashed in my eyes. I found a spot that wasn't easily discoverable and sat down, with the motto of the bigger the drama, the better the show. The enemy of my enemy is my friend. I took some time to find evidence of Jibota's usual bullying of classmates and every instance of cheating. I packaged it all up and sent it to Ji Hao. This kind of troublesome matter. According to my personality, I would usually be too lazy to bother with. But, people, when it comes to causing trouble for others, especially those they hate, are never afraid of trouble or fatigue. After finishing these things, I smiled with satisfaction, seeing that Jihao had received these things. He immediately sent a message. Who are you? How do you have these things? I replied to Jihao cheerfully. Don't let me be disappointed. Jihao, on the other end, replied very quickly. Although I don't know who you are, but thank you. I will make these things achieve their greatest value. I looked at the reply and smiled without saying anything. There were 10 minutes left until the end of school. Liu Ruyan thought about how she hadn't seen me for the entire class, and today was about to end. Looks like I'm not coming to find her today. She let out a long sigh of relief. The tight string in her heart that had been taut all day finally loosened. But within this feeling of relief, as if a great burden had been lifted, there was inexplicably a hint of indescribable loss mixed in, making one feel inexplicably irritated. She felt that there might be something wrong with her. Liu Ruyan was lost in thought in the restroom. As soon as she walked out, she heard a few voices. The content of the conversation made Liu Ruyan freeze. How is it? Did you get the key? Of course. Let's go meet up first. Qiangzi is keeping watch over there. He said. Chen Fan hasn't come out yet. The one who got the key is Hu Minghui from Class 6, a gifted sports student. The other male student talking is also from Class 6, named Liang Wen, and the male student who was just keeping watch for me is Peng Mingqiang from her class. These guys are all Xiao Jibo's sworn brothers. They are the ones who usually, along with Xiao Jibo, bully me. Liu Ruyan furrowed her brows tightly. Should I go warn him? She doesn't have any way to contact me, none at all. Besides, they don't seem to be close. It would look very strange for her to suddenly run over there. After some hesitation, Liu Ruyan decided, forget it. Such a clumsy trick surely can't trap him. When the time comes, it's not even certain who will be taught a lesson. What is she worrying about for no reason? Liu Ruyan convinced herself internally. But on the way, her mind was filled with Hu Minghui and Liang Wen's conversation. Even though she had already decided to ignore it, when she saw that Zhu Ying was on duty today, and it was Zhu Ying's turn to return the sports equipment, Liu Ruyan, as if possessed, suddenly took the equipment, told Zhu Ying to go home first, and said she would return it for her. Consider it a way to repay Zhu Ying for buying her a drink earlier. Liu Ruyan explained it like that. Right, she was just repaying Zhu Ying. Warning me was just incidental. Unaware, Zhu Ying looked touched, and directly called her godmother. But besides being touched, she was also very suspicious. Since when had Liu Ruyan become so enthusiastic? Liu Ruyan carried a basket of sports equipment across the sports field. Many classes were already gathering, preparing to be dismissed. As she got closer to the equipment room, she deliberately lightened her footsteps and looked around. The one who was supposed to be guarding the equipment room, Peng Mingqiang, was nowhere to be seen. The iron door of the equipment room was ajar, creaking softly in the evening breeze. Liu Ruyan pushed the door open with her shoulder. The mixed smell of rubber and dust hit her face. Under the dim light in the equipment room, Liu Ruyan placed the equipment basket on a mat. While arranging the equipment, Liu Ruyan searched more than half of the equipment room, but couldn't find me. Seeing that there was indeed no one there, she inexplicably let out a sigh of relief. As she thought about the foolish things she had done on impulse, a flash of anger appeared in her eyes. Getting myself worked up over nothing, she was about to leave, but just as she turned around, a voice echoed from behind her. Are you looking for me? Liu Ruyan's pupils constricted slightly. Her heart skipped a beat. She abruptly turned to look towards the source of the sound. In the back right corner of the room, next to the window, the curtain was lifted by the evening breeze and then fell back down, like a stage curtain slowly being drawn. I was half leaning against the windowsill, my figure appearing and disappearing. The corner of my mouth was raised in a faint curve, a careless smile hanging on my lips, but it didn't reach my eyes at all. Liu Ruyan swallowed nervously. She somewhat regretted meddling in other people's business, but since she was already here, Liu Ruyan still prepared to tell me what she had heard. Just as Liu Ruyan opened her mouth, she saw me signal for her to be quiet, looking out the window. Seeing this, Liu Ruyan took a step back, hiding herself in the shadow of the basketball hoop stand. She saw that the equipment room door, which had been ajar, was suddenly slammed shut by a hand, making a loud noise. At the same time as the sound of a key locking the door from the outside, there was the malicious laughter of 3 people outside, mixed with the thudding sound of shoes kicking the door. Peng Mingqiang's hoarse voice came through the iron door. Chen Fan, don't you like hiding in the equipment room? You'll let you stay in here to your heart's content. Weren't you so arrogant back then? Liang Wen's shrill voice followed immediately. Xiao Jibo's head is still wrapped in bandages. You must be pretty pleased with yourself, huh? Another hard kick. The door frame shook and dust fell everywhere. You still dare to hit people? You're really asking for a beating. Weren't you so good at taking it before? Hu Minghui deliberately leaned close to the door, his voice sinister as he lowered it to threaten. I heard this place used to be a graveyard. Aren't you mentally ill? I wonder if a psycho is afraid of ghosts. Ha ha ha. Just you wait. I'll video call Xiao Jibo. Let Xiao Jibo see if Chen Fan is still hiding. I know you're in there. Get out here. Peng Mingqiang took out his phone to call Xiao Jibo, then he kicked the iron door again. Although he went to the restroom just now, it was less than 3 minutes in total. I'm sure he hasn't left. The arrogant laughter of the 3 people outside was especially piercing. I heard them screaming, as if they wanted to tear the sky apart. Peng Mingqiang's arm, bizarrely, hung from the windowsill at a strange angle. His phone fell to the ground with a thud. On the screen was Xiao Jibo's dumbfounded, terrified face. Hu Minghui and Liang Wen then snapped out of their daze, fumbling to pull Peng Mingqiang by the shoulders. As they pulled, the broken arm scraped against the window frame, making a hair-raising sound. By the time they finally managed to pull him out, Peng Mingqiang was already pale from the pain. That arm dangled limply, like a dead snake. Inside the equipment room, I calmly picked up the phone. The cold light from the screen shone on my face. The smile on my lips sent a chill down Liu Ruyan's spine. Xiao Jibo. I lightly tapped the screen, my voice eerily soft. Do you want to die that badly? Hu Minghui stared at Peng Mingqiang's broken arm like a furious beast. Chen Fan, he'll kill you today. With that, he was about to open the door and rush in. Liang Wen held him back tightly. Huizi, don't be rash. He's deliberately provoking you to open the door. He lowered his voice, his eyes dark. He's locked inside now. He can't escape even if he had wings. We have plenty of ways to deal with him. What's the rush? Hu Minghui's breathing gradually calmed down, the corner of his mouth twisted into a ferocious curve. Thinking of what they had brought with them, you don't know what's good for you. Just wait till you're drinking my piss. Hearing their threats, I paid them no mind. I just propped the phone up by the window so Xiao Jibo could clearly see the situation outside. In contrast, Liu Ruyan looked at me with worry. She also thought I wanted to provoke them into opening the door, but that would be too reckless. After all, they couldn't get out right now. If Hu Minghui and the others were a bit more extreme, like splashing gasoline inside or something, she then saw me walk to the door and slowly take out a key to unlock it. Ding. Universal key used successfully. Liu Ruyan heard a sudden system notification. The equipment room door was opened. I looked at the three astonished people and slowly broke into a smile. The smile didn't reach my eyes. It wasn't a real smile. It was the look one gets when seeing prey, revealing malice and excitement. Hu Minghui was the first to react, swinging his fist and rushing forward, cursing, "Trash." In the next few minutes, Liu Ruyan witnessed a one-sided beatdown. She saw me tilt my head to dodge Hu Minghui's fist, trembling like a leaf. The broken arm hung down limply. He could only use his remaining healthy left hand to shakily unlock the screen. The sound of the phone ringing was especially piercing in the quiet equipment room. Every ring felt like it was torturing the nerves of the three of them. The moment the call connected, Peng Mingqiang almost burst into tears. "Xiao Jibo, look!" Before Peng Mingqiang could finish, the call was disconnected. Peng Mingqiang stared blankly at the screen and, unwilling to give up, called again. This time, it went straight to voicemail. When he called the third time, a cold notification sound came from the receiver. "The subscriber you have dialed has powered off. Hey!" He turned off his phone. Peng Mingqiang's voice was filled with sobs. The phone slipped from his fingertips. Fear turned into towering hatred. His teeth ground together. That bastard. He was clearly the one who instigated us. I snorted. That smile made one's hair stand on end. Oh my. Looks like your good brother has abandoned you. So, sorry. Chenfan, sorry. We won't do it again. Seeing that they couldn't rely on Xiao Jibo, Hu Minghui cried and apologized. Liang Wen and Peng Mingqiang also begged for their lives. Please spare us. We really won't do it again. The pain coming from all over their bodies made them fall into deep fear. They never expected this would be the outcome. I looked at them and said with a smile, but my voice had no warmth at all. You guys seem to really like small dark rooms? Since that's the case, then go in and experience it for yourselves. I directly picked them up one by one and threw them all into the equipment room. Then I locked the door from the outside. I picked up Peng Mingqiang's phone and told the system to send the world's most terrifying music to the phone. The phone's screen strangely lit up on its own. Hundreds of horror tracks flooded the storage space like a tide. Storage. The system even thoughtfully adjusted the audio parameters, making every note carry a hair-raising vibration. This system has specially added some extra spice, the electronic voice boasted proudly. Listening to this music for a long time will disrupt a person's magnetic field, causing them to have hallucinations as if they were really there. I guarantee it will make them see the most terrifying thing in their lives. What are you spacing out for? Let's go. I turned back to call Liu Ruyan. Liu Ruyan was staring blankly at the key in my hand. Indeed, her worry was unnecessary. What kind of loss could I possibly suffer? She was really worrying about nothing. Maybe I even found her meddling annoying. As soon as I turned my head, I saw Liu Ruyan staring at my hand, at the universal key in my hand. What's up, you like this? Liu Ruyan was startled back to her senses. Only then did she realize she had been staring at the key for too long. She was about to open her mouth to explain when she saw a fluorescent gleam flash. The key drew a beautiful parabola in the air, landing precisely in her palm. Liu Ruyan caught it reflexively. The cold metallic feel made her fingertips tremble. If you like it, it's yours. Liu Ruyan stared blankly at the key in her palm. The edge of the key had a strange shape, and it still held the warmth from my fingertips, a strangely scalding sensation. Host, what are you doing? An indignant electronic voice suddenly rang in her ear, startling Liu Ruyan so much she almost dropped the key. That's a universal key. It can open any lock, even if you don't like it. If you list it in the shop, you could sell it for 1,000 points. The price. I was also startled by the system's sudden shout. I coldly yelled at the system in my mind. It's my stuff. What business is it of yours how I use it? Shut up. The system immediately went silent, only emitting a few aggrieved-sounding static noises. Liu Ruyan's gaze on the key became complicated. A feeling of being touched rose in her heart. Thank you. But classmate Chen, you should still take it back. It's too valuable. I was originally in a pretty good mood, but hearing Liu Ruyan refuse, my expression immediately darkened. Liu Ruyan, no one has ever dared to refuse me before. Are you sure you want to be the first? I asked softly, my voice almost devoid of any inflection. But beneath that calm tone, a terrifying emotion was being suppressed, dark and fluctuating. Hearing my threat, the touched feeling in Liu Ruyan's heart shattered into pieces. She had never seen anyone give a gift along with a threat. The key in her hand felt like a hot potato. She stiffly changed her words. But I really do like it. Thank you, classmate Chen. In that case, I'll accept it. No need to be so polite. In return, let's add each other on the Green Bubble app. As if not hearing the stiffness in Liu Ruyan's tone, seeing that she accepted it, my expression immediately thawed like melting ice and snow. The speed at which my expression changed was dizzying. I took out my phone, unlocked it, and handed it to Liu Ruyan. She stiffly took the phone and reflexively started typing in her secondary account. But when she was only halfway through, she heard me calmly ask from the side, "Are you sure you want to give me this Green Bubble app number?" Liu Ruyan's hand trembled, and she almost dropped my phone. She tried to act calm as she deleted the half-entered number and changed it to her personal account. After Liu Ruyan sent the friend request to me, I took the phone back with satisfaction. I waved goodbye to Liu Ruyan. Remember to accept. Liu Ruyan set a reminder, then turned and walked towards the school gate. The moment I turned around, Liu Ruyan heard the system's notification. Ding. Today's mission, obtain the contact information of Liu Ruyan, has been completed. The last bit of touched feeling in Liu Ruyan's heart disappeared without a trace. As expected, the daily mission, though late, still arrived. Even giving gifts is so domineering. Such a forceful person, and yet just now she thought I was. Because. Liu Ruyan looked at the key in her hand, her gaze growing colder and colder. There won't be a next time.